Like black lives don't matter. More lives not shot in the back, running or choked out to death on the corner. They take the taser for his side, says the coroner. To the yellow journalists that want to work for writing facts for worldwide web press stories, always calling them black. Civil rights violated, here goes C1.7. And CIA and FBI agents, brethren, felons with one brother, one third. Most wars are nerds, and 30 more than if I'm on the road, no fighting curves. No sense of movement, no fighting for survival. Making wars models won't happen, common as captain rival. Inquisition is governors and secretaries of state. Got stateless on their tables like ribeye steak. With no care, blood dripping. They eat blacks rare. Foreigners wearing mini-boy badges, pretending they're heirs. To the vastest estate, medieval AXA. Stainless blood so fast the horses brow are serving agua. Demons thirst sweat, stealing pioneers and organs. Psychiatry, death industry. The stars selling black orphans. And half those coffins. Cause legs are missing, killing stateless people. Cancer won't even see remission. More lives matter. Black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Like black lives don't matter. System, what system? Not gonna make myself no victim. Run down and kick them off, educate oneself and flip them. All of these titles are nationality, strips them. Must fix reality in order to really grip them in this third dimensional illusion. Organized chaos confusion, giving your protection, mental inclusion, universal law, declaration of the ancient. I self-law and master from the rooftop to the basement, root deep to the spaceship. Ever since all creation, celestial foundation, ocean floor to the ranges, to the mountain tip, to the cosmic infinite. Basically, we are way above this shit. In other words, get in tune with spirit. Take a breath and accept mental polarity, gender rhythm, correspondence, vibration, cause and effect. More lives matter. Black lives don't matter. 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 More lives matter because I think it don't stand up. It gets affected when protecting you can stand up. If I respected one thing, I keep to replay. On the rules that one replay. So they want to catch up. Hurry on to the next one. Enough of them are running down. And you never catch on. Can't believe I copy that. Can't believe I started Bob Trayvon. Michael Brown, Lazarus, the Spanish. The afterlife, visited the class brawl. Who they really want to see with the crown on high and the guards on free. I am free and you're nothing but your land or your country to see through the animal rights. The insatiable delight of knowing thyself and bringing all injustice to light. With the fight, you should claim, make your fight for the bright. I'm the mic in the night. More time for you to realize that. More lives matter. Black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Like black lives don't matter. No. First question I have for you, my sister, is that what are some of the misunderstandings of the Moorish history that our people really need to understand?
Wow, that's bad.
Just going on.
It's just so bad.
Right.
The main thing is people don't know anything about their nationality or birthright. How that they are a Moor. Or let's start with what is a Moor. You know, that would be the first tip. It's like, what is a Moor? What is, like say all this stuff about more. I mean, it is the manifestation of the being into the flesh. The being who travels upon the waters of the earth, but first beginning in the waters of the mother's womb. So when you look up the word more, it just doesn't mean a noun. It's actually an action. So it means that we travel upon the 7 stages of development in the waters of the mother's womb. That's Moorish.
Look,
If you want to read it, read it Canaanland Fools, the Moors in Spain, written in 1887, or Alejandro Magaziza. Read his book in Spanish, the Moors in Spain, and said that even the black was introduced by those Africans. You know goddamn motion picture.
They got me looking for the artifact, so my heart can laugh. I be running through the scene like I'm on a lap. The way they left them on the scene, put us on the map. So I be all up on the scene, looking hard for artists on the Mars artifact, like I'm Artemis. See, I be running through the scene like I'm on a mission. The way they left us on the scene, made it hard to miss us. See, I be all up on the scene, looking for my shit like red flashes, green fashions, we assassins. Triple gold, my pen high like I'm Selassie. Physical, your men die, we everlasting. In the cold like Noongate, winter, Alaska. Killing the pastor, taking it down my mind like a disaster. Ass within the facet. If you don't represent the serpentine bloodline, more white bloodline, welcome to the front line. Maybe I want mine. I'm going patient, I'm cutting up in the lunch line. I call it crunch time. They trying to punch some, but I ain't overtime. I'm no Charlie, I'm working overtime. Hidden GD, 1787, times 711, higher than 7 heavens. Steady, no captain. Better stomach the lesson. Who be trapped in the house? I'm all alone like Kevin 2-7. I'm here to make my case, good law, and rep it. I trim it on the block, no heads, necklace. I keep a peppermint on the top of the dresser. Working 7 days a gig, looking for that on the board. Try to back, like I'm Artemis. See, I be running through the scene like I'm on a mission. The way they left us on the scene, made them on the mission. See, I be all up on the scene, looking for my shit like.
Doctrine of discovery from a grave Alaska. I'll always challenge jurisdiction of your captors. Staff stand on your square. No apron of retractors will manifest deception. Burn like Cleopatra. Mine is man's tantra. Know that of mantra. Get out the lowest up and vibrate your chakras. Walking on the higher road. My staff on my levels on the line. If my God protected more with the sevens up. For quadrant halos, celestial pharaohs. Expose those Socrates and Plato's. They shot down my cherry tree and still couldn't bury me. In their secret lodges, they pretend to be me. Indiana Jones, national treasures, angels and demons, and one world agenda. Raise up late smiles, alien reptilian, running from the government with more civilians, invisible wars. Police state has risen, uplifting falling from their mental prisons. 5-point sword drawn, protecting wormholes, leads to the hand, the backs of third hope.
All the more try to back, like I'm Artemis. See, I be running through the scene like I'm on a mission. The way they left us on the scene, made it hard to miss them. See, I be all up on the scene, looking for my shit like.
But remember, when it became a time in 1706, Africans who ran from 7-11, we were calling ourselves Moors, F-A-U-E-R-S-N-M-O-O-R-S. From 7-11 to 14
Unmuted.
Peace and love, everybody. Welcome back to MHHS. Eyes Wide Open, Sons of Allah for July 2020. My goodness, this year is flying past. But I am Israel. I left L. I'm here with my brethren, Noble, Peaceful Joe.
Islam, peace and love to all the Moors. Islam is what's good.
Man, all is well, man. Just looking for the best in this, crazy world.
Crazy time.
Stunning negative vibes. Yeah, I'm trying to stay away from negative vibes. Let me not say negative, because that word could be misconstrued.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to test negative for the coronavirus. It's not a bad thing.
Negative is positive.
Yeah, this shit is crazy when you look at this world, bro. But just trying to stay in the good vibration. Man, gotta say, the last 2 tracks, of course, was from your new project with the brother Conway L. Stevens.
Yeah.
According to the art, I definitely want you to talk about that. I don't want to put myself first, but I want to say thank y'all. I appreciate the project. I felt like that was very timely. And I don't know if you want to hear it as from a listener's perspective. Well, I personally resonate with the timing of it, bro. Like, when you put me on, I was like, man, that's beautiful, because your name's a artistic project called El Fire, which is based off of the element of fire. And I just think it was so much. It was very authentic. I liked it. It was very heavy, Morris conscious, bar heavy for sure. And I got 1,000 reasons why I just resonated with it, bro, and the timing of it.
Islam.
The intro, of course, yeah, man. Intro was fire. The track 2, everything was fire. Let me not even try to, name which ones were, because they all was hard. I like it. But I personally resonated with it, bro, because since this whole thing kicked off, I've been dealing with the element of fire a lot more.
Yeah.
Positive, but in a good way. You know what I'm saying? Burning wood, learning the science of dealing with fire for beneficial attributes, healing attributes, and even the title itself can take you right back into history. Because fire, of course, this is where you get the science of communication with smoke signals and everything.
Yeah.
So I just, from the tracks and the bars itself and the title of the project, man, I resonated so much with that. And I don't know if anybody has told y'all yet, but that was a great project. Y'all know it. Y'all wouldn't have put it out. That was definitely a great project, and I liked it, bro. Man, tell us a little bit about that. How did that come about? Was that, was it pre-planned? Of course it was pre-planned, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But, what about the title Hellfire that made y'all, say this is what we're going to call it? Is it the slingo, the language, the slang is hot? What made y'all choose that? Was it multi-layered or what?
Well, first of all, if you see the number 1 gets pushed, that's probably Brother Kasir, so you could bring him in. But
yeah, please, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
As far as the title, it was all I have in my mind is we're having a conversation about something, and the fact that we were both, really using the fire on there, and it just hit, Hell's Fire came to my mind, but it was really L's fire that stuck, because spitting flames, Hell's Fire, and then it just played in because we're both L's, and you know what I mean. So L's Fire just seemed suitable. It wasn't some thinking about it, for forever, there was no thinking about it. That was it, and ran with it, and then with regard to even getting the music done, one of the mothers had brought it up. There's more you should, try to do some stuff with, That was the first thing that was in the ethers, and then, after that, it was just like some domino effect type thing. Then tracks started coming to the email, and I'm listening to them, and we're like, okay, yeah, this could definitely work. The beats were sounding good. I had as far as my part, I had a little while to digest what he had on, because everything that I got sent, his vocals were on it already, except for I think 2 tracks or something. So once I started listening to it, there was just like you're saying, the thing with the timing, you know what I mean? The timing of it, being free, being available to just write whenever, you know what I mean? Nothing stopping the floodgates type of thing. It just I think that's the most important thing. That timing aspect of it. Everything just fit into place so easy. You know what I mean? The studio was down for months, you know, and we were able to have Allah bless us with some time so we could go in and get it done. And it was actually two sessions. It was 2 sessions. One session I recorded I think 7 or 8 songs, and then the other session I recorded the other whatever was left over. So it was pretty intense. Yeah, it was a good little journey. You know what I mean? To say.
No doubt. Yo, hold on, pardon.
Oh, go ahead.
Is the brother 267?
Yeah. That should be him.
Okay, about to bring the brother on right now because this was a joint. Hold up. Peace, 267, brother Kashir. Islam, Morris.
Islam, bro. Yeah, so the reason why Brother Kasir has to be on it when you're talking about it, because he's really the mastermind of the operation. You know what I mean? You know, because all the vocals that I did were sent to him. He laid them down on the songs and all that, the mixing, the mastering. Like it wasn't a 2-way, 3-way process. You know what I mean? The more just wanted to get some work done, and we got that work done.
Facts. Peace, bro. Man, like I said, I don't know if you was listening from the beginning, but you know, I definitely gave thanks for the project. I liked it, you know what I mean? I liked everything about it, from the title, the cover art, the actual songs. Everything about it just resonated. And I was telling Cujo, like, it was very timely to where my frequency was at as well, because I have been dealing more so with the element of fire lately. Like, you know, even when I looked at it from even this title aspect and the cover art and everything, I just resonated with everything about it. Like, and I'll give you an example. This is about y'all. I'm just saying from a consumer point of view. You know, if y'all haven't had any feedback, I'm sure y'all did. But I just resonated with the title, man, and every track. Like when people were shooting fireworks on the 4th of July, my fireworks was the actual element of fire, bro. Like I started a little campfire and was just chilling, bro. So I feel everything about the project, from the music to the title. And that, you know, how deep was it with y'all to name the title off of the elements. Because that's the science, you know. And maybe it wasn't much thought, or y'all just resonated with it. I mean, I like everything about it. I just want to hear y'all feedback on it, because it is a joint project, right? Yeah. And if you could, let the people know how they could obtain it as well. I love it.
For right now, I'm just on, I got a PayPal, Conway Stevens at Gmail. So I'm just doing PayPal. It's like when we get the new cover, because we're going to get the cover redone and, you know, more professional. It's going to go on Khalifa Media, you know, so, you know, but on PayPal till then. But the funny part about like the whole CD is that at first it wasn't going to even be Outfire. Like the name was going to be first it was Deja Vu, then we went Deja Mu, and Cujo had sent me this card. Like the card is on the front of the cover. If you look at it, it got two like figures on there with the cone, the conical feathers, and I'm like, what you doing? This is magic. And he said, like, this is gonna be the cover. So, you know, like that's what it was gonna be at first. But as we started talking and like laying track, we had a conversation where he was just saying, yeah, yo, this stuff is hot, and I'm like, man, it's like hellfire. He said, whoa, boy, that's it. I was like,
yeah.
He's like, that's the name. I was like, wait. So I'm like, that sounds like hellfire. And she said, yeah, that's what came on my mind. And I'm like, oh well, you a hell, and I'm like, so it's gonna be like a cleansing fire. So Lord, I don't even know how. Like we just came off. We caught it off the frequency. It was in the ether. So that same frequency that she was on to be on the element. We just pulled that, bro. We just pulled it, and it's crazy because like when we dropped, this is the following Thursday, and it happens to be Sons of Allah.
Yeah, that's crazy too.
And there was one more part. There was one more part about the numbers. Like we coded the numbers, and it wasn't even supposed to be like this, but it went so crazy because Cujo said, "All right, 7-Eleven, we're gonna drop it on 7-Eleven." I'm like, "All right." He said 7-Eleven. Oh my God, 7 o'clock, 11 minutes. I'm like, okay, cool. It's the 7th day that we dropped it on. It just happened to be the 7-Eleven was the 7th day, which is Saturday's day, right? And then it's 11 tracks on the scimitar. So I'm just like, that's the 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven, 11 connections, right? And then Cujo still dropped the video. He dropped the video on YouTube, and he sends it to me. He's like, "Morris, look at the time. It was 52:52." I just said, "Yo, like it just got real cosmic. Like it's that night, Morris, that we dropped. That night, Morris. That night was cosmic." But I don't know if you remember, bro. You remember that, Cujo?
Yeah.
Like how that night felt, like how it sounded, like yo. I mixed it down. I had listened to it that day, and I'm like, yo, this show gonna go crazy, right? And then Cujo told me he listened to it, so I'm like, yeah, he's good. But when he played it, that wasn't what we recorded.
Yeah.
That was something from the cosmos. We recorded something, but what y'all heard was from the cosmos. So give thanks to the ancestors.
For real.
Facts, bro. I don't have that copy. I don't have that copy. That copy was just it's just in the cosmos. I don't. You got to go back and watch that video. That copy don't exist. I mean, that shit. I don't know. It went crazy that night.
Yeah, it's everything about it, man. And it's funny you even mentioned the cover art with the card. Another reason I resonated with it, I'm like, oh man, like oh my gosh, man. Because I'm trusting we can stay on topic and teach at the same time because, like I said, I was dealing with the fire. So for me personally, it resonated like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? So I also was doing I was doing my thing with the gardening since this whole COVID thing popped off, and I was using a stage shovel. And I just found it interesting that it's actually called a stage shovel. So I was like, well, what's the science with the stage on the cards? And I looked into that. I swear this was the day before I seen the cover, man. I looked into that in all across the world, and this is relative to the cards that I'm saying on the cover. The stage, I love learning the semiotic aspect as well, but the stage has different shapes in different countries. Like different nationalities will use a different symbol for the spade on the cards. So like in some countries, the leaf is a spade because it looks like, you know what I'm saying? And it was one of these cards that was called the Pitt spade in Europe. But we know, according to ancient and modern Brit times, that the Picts were Moors.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these cards, you know what I'm saying? So like in one country, the acorn is the spade because of the shape. And it's just ill that, every semiotic frequency that I had in my mind, it kind of was like, wow, I can't believe I'm looking at this right on the cover, man. Music, I'm just, from my point of view, man, that to me, it just hit. You know what I mean? Everything about it, bro. So I definitely share that with y'all. That's where I was at when I actually was in it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, man, like y'all keep doing it. Whatever frequency I was on, to pull that through and down and share that. You know what I mean? Like stay there or elevate. Man. It's a good thing, bro. I'm saying that from my perspective, man.
Give thanks, Mark.
But no doubt about it, bro.
about it. Thanks to y'all. So yeah, and I definitely gotta give thanks. Y'all know, I'm not just saying this because I am biased, but I was hooked from the door because, you know, the intro with my mother's voice on it, man, that's, to me, that just hits home on a whole other level. You know what I'm saying? That is real. Like,
yeah.
biased. I'm not just saying it's hot because I'm biased. Like, it really is a hot project. But yeah, I'm biased too, but still a hot project.
Sure.
And it just the essence, because even the way y'all did it, like, even though I heard that clip before, I was actually sitting right there when it happened. I personally just felt like it means so much more now because my mother's response to the question asked, you know what I mean? Because I think we all being Moors, knowing that we Moors, one of the sincerest answers to that question is like that. It's like, somebody, what is the most important thing when it comes to Moors? You know how vast that question is?
Yeah.
Like, it really is something. It's like, and we could start from the clock, we could start from fashion, we could start from farming, gardening, you know, we could go into politics. Like, that question could take you anywhere. So, like, the most sincerest thing you can initially respond to, that's a vast question. And it is, you know, so it just hit home, man. I love it, bro. I can't stress that enough.
And then something to add on, too, with what you're talking about with the question, is that depending on who you're dealing with, the question might be a trick question to try trip you up, because that was really a loaded question, really. Like, that question wasn't really a question, really. That was a finesse master interview guy question. You know what I mean? To try to get you to yeah, right. You know what I mean? That just hit me just now, just as Miss talked about the answer and how vast it is. Like, yeah, that is kind of vast. But hold on a second. That's a pretty tricky question. Really and truly. You know what I mean? You know, because the length of time is going to take to answer this question. You should be setting up some type of conferences or something for the person who has the answer to come and break down your question, not some video. You know? But that just bothered me. Yeah, that just bothered me a sec. The question, you know, because we already know who it is asking the question too. You know what I mean? We already know the game. You know what I mean? That whole interview, when you come to think about it, that whole interview was them kind of questions. You know what I mean?
I was saying, like me, when I wanted to start, I had good question though.
Go ahead, more.
It's my fault. Not to cut your break. Like,
go ahead, more.
I had all the songs, and I'm like thinking, like, yo, how do I start? How do we start this thing? And the thing came to my mind is like, I gotta start with love. But you know, if I start with love, like, what is love? So this is where the fire comes in. It was like, love would be a law. So what would be a law? Like, this, what is a law? If I say basically, what is the law? It's like mother. And I'm like, well, I gotta put one of the mothers on here. And then it got crazy more. I had all these mothers. This was gonna be the intro. I had all of them. I had the Hella. I had was in the Zodiac style, and it was just, you know, the deepest one. So I'm thinking, like, how do I break? I had NE. I'm like, so I'm thinking, like, how do I do this? And then something told me to just go to Mother Roger's video, and that one came up. And as soon as No Name asked us the question, I'm like, wow, like, how do we even do that? And then she said it. Her reaction was like how my reaction was when I was watching it. And I'm like, yo, I think this is the one. And then the way she was like answering a question, it was just Shemitar. I'm like, okay, no, this is how we start. We start with mother, and if the baby comes out the womb, it's to the fire or to the light. So I'm like, that's how I want to start. That's how I want to start. I want it like to be the mother, like bringing the baby to the fire or to the earth. So it was crazy. Bro. Like, so now we got to fight that we're here to defend the mother. So the first song had to be like, Artifact, and then I had to throw Artemis in there because it was still a quote to the woman. It's just that is really, really, really coded. It's really, really codified. Like you got to really kind of let yourself get adapted to it, and then be an adept when you look.
Oh yeah, bro. Oh yeah, for sure. But I would say, based off of that question, as like you could put together a whole school curriculum.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah.
Like it was a deep question.
Yeah.
And remind you, it was other Moors in the room who may have influenced the question.
Right.
They knew they was good question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not saying that is what happened, but you never know. You know what I'm saying? Because these are the type of things we definitely need to be talking about.
No doubt.
Especially in today's time. Yeah, you know what I mean? And mind you, this was pre media sellout. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, not that the media wasn't on their thing, but like this was before you heard this campaign of coming from that area of fashion moves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So at the time it was, and it still is a great question, but I think the vibration y'all put on it was also a great thing as well. Mm-hmm. But yo, I want to share this with y'all too, because I'm not playing. When I say like this joint, I really resonated with this joint from the title to the ending. Like it took me a whole day because I listened to like every song 3 to 5 times before I moved forward. Like every one of them. But I wanted to share this with y'all because word is mine. The day before I was made aware of it and was able to listen to it, something told me. I haven't picked up the book, The History of the Moorish Empire in Europe, for like over a year, bro. Maybe 9 to 13 months ago was the last time like I really started reading it again. So The History of Moorish Empire, Volume 1 by S.P. Scott. This was in 1904. And I'm saying this to really show why I resonated with this so much, bro. Yes, it's the bars. Yes, it's the music. Yes, it's the beat. It's the bass. It's everything. But even on a semiotic spiritual level for me, because like you said, even with using my mother's voice for the intro, it was like birth to the baby. But I'm serious, man. I have picked up and refreshed my memory with this the day before. And I just want to share this for the record of why I'm actually vibing and I resonate with the El Fire project so much from its now effect and its historical content and everything on the cover art, everything, bro. So this is from page 32 of The History of the Moorish Empire in Europe. Excuse me. It says classic historians have established that the fact that it was at one time almost universal in the peninsula, where the idol, which was the terrestrial manifestation of that great luminary, was designated by the appellation Nur Allah, meaning the light of God. And it says his authority was everywhere paramount, whether openly worshipped, but represented by fire, the great purifying agent. You know what I'm saying? And I had just read this part the day before I heard or was able to listen to your album, a joint project called El Fire. This was like the last thing I read the day before. So when I get this, I'm like, oh man, I know I'm on the right frequency. I know y'all on the right frequency. Or we on some sort of frequency where everything is just, it's semiotically correct from my perspective. I'm just speaking from my perspective, man. So again, I can't stress enough how much I do appreciate y'all project, bro. Because even according to the history of the Moorish Empire in Europe, the element of fire was always a purifying agent. And we needed some fresh music in these days and times. Y'all did that for us as well. So I'll never front on y'all for that. And it's y'all for sure. And this is key. It's like really manifesting the way we thought it. It's like
it's like we thought like, okay, they're running all these hoaxes and all these this mind trash for our people right now, and I want to give them something to bring them out of it. So when we think of Corona, we can take that and break it down to Corona Soul, and Corona Soul is really just the ring of fire. So you know, and then if we're using the Corona Soul as the ring of fire, is the pure fire. And now we're using this CD, which is a ring of fire, like a CD, like a disc, to purify what they're saying is a disease or a pandemic. All while the Dems are panicking, but you know, that this is what I really wanted this to be for, like a chakra cleansing, a mind cleansing, like the stuff people should meditate to and take the mineral baths with. Like this is what it was for. It was to get people out of the mindset that only thing that exists is false narrative. This is a real narrative. This is real rap. Like we everything we rapped about in there we do. We don't do like other people do and get these signatures on these false documents, and then now we're rapping about stuff that we don't even do, and then pushing it, perpetuating that to the children. No, we're going to rap about what we're doing, which is more. So you can even educate yourself through the verses, which is more fire.
Man, it's a beautiful thing. Definitely a beautiful thing. And I never thought about it like the CD, Ring of Fire, man. I love symbiotic aspects, man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Morris, man, it's just, I think everybody should definitely have a copy of that. We need some more. We needed some Moorish music, especially in this time. And y'all did that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all definitely did that, man. So for sure. Now, I'm already like, yo, we need a part 2. But you know what I'm saying? Hopefully we get that El Fire, El Water, El Air, Earth stuff. I like that. I like that. Okay.
Okay.
We could go with the water for the winter solstice, like that's because I know it's about to get crazy. It's about to get crazy. Like everybody hold on, it's about to get crazy. I know the Andromeda constellation is coming in on November, and they want to run an election, and all of this paradigm shifting and false narrative, like it's just getting people out of the woodwork. Like, I'm not a voter. They don't give me a free national ballot, so I don't get the vote. But basically, what I see Donald Trump doing, I mean, it works for people who are national and colonial minded. I mean, I know I'm not black, so I stay away from the word game. But what he's doing, it makes sense. He's actually going against the so-called de facto, aka the democracy. I'll take it. I'll take that any day. Like, cool, drain the swamp, do whatever you gotta do. But as far as Lord, we just gotta be aware that these are the times the problem we're talking about. As far as us getting our government in order and getting both of ourselves in order, higher and lower. This is that time. So definitely that time purifying through the fires. Like, we gotta be one, dog. Real rap. Right now, we gotta be one. More are together, but we not together. We gotta be one. And then we can show people throughout the world how to do that. Because everybody else is scattered because we're not together. We're just a reflection of the world, or the world is a reflection of us. But we have to do better so they can do better. We gotta do more so they can do more.
Yes,
that's another thing that the city is for. It's like pumping y'all up. It's motivation. Like get active. Let's get active more. AM more is active more. We up in the AM. PM more is passive more. They always sleep.
Well.
No doubt, bro. No doubt.
Yeah, and I like the fact that every voice sample you use was every one of them that was there was from Conscious Moors, like all of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. It's just so much to like about the album.
Yeah.
I don't want to give too much up, but I feel like y'all did your thing, man, and I can't stress it enough. I will be begging that for the rest of the summer, no doubt, and beyond. I think it's an infinite classic, you know?
Yeah.
Definitely.
There's definitely an energy to it, yo. There's an energy to it.
And Islam to Sheldon McKenzie L. Like Islam to Sheldon McKenzie L. And thank him for the Common Sense Quickie. Matter of fact, I just watched today. I had to run back the More Vengeance John. That John, that like he has a gift with the way he sees stuff, and it comes out in artistry form. Everything he do is like he's designing the shoe.
Yeah.
So that's the way I listen to his stuff and watch it, and it's kind of I get more of a appreciation for what he's delivering. So like, you know, I had to go back and watch the More Vengeance John, and I'm like, he really broke it. So that's who watching it, yo. It's like he's being funny, but he wrecking that joint. It was like, you know, his artistry. I had to put him in there because we had just got finished dealing with a couple more, you know, lost lords, and he was like, his whole thing was like, I spend hours doing these videos for people to not get it, and I spend the time just to show them exactly where it comes from, exactly just so they won't be confused. And for them to get confused, it had him like kind of flustered. So I wanted to get after him so he could have like a, you know, something that's in the cosmos, so we could always go back and listen to where somebody's listening, somebody hears it, and now everybody can hear it.
Yeah. Because people.
Well, I gotta ask y'all while y'all both on the line, and please let me take a moment to educate you. But what in the world is it presenting? Like, what did I mix, bro? It sounds like an Asiatic word. I don't know if y'all. Oh my God, yeah, all the way in. You gotta explain this to me. I love the track, but I don't know. I can try to pronounce it, and I'm like, okay, you know, but I'll be following you. I got you, but I just don't know what you explain to it.
All right, so when I first got it sent to me, same thing. Like, the hell is this? Like, what is this? What is this? Like, what they say, you know, you learn something new every day. This day was one of those days right there. Chrysanthemum. What the hell is a chrysanthemum? Freaking looking up this shit or whatever. Like, okay, this is some next level. This is some next level. So that's why I started the track off with chrysanthemum's the word, because just that word alone had me messed up. You know. So in going into it and looking at it from the visual perspective of the crossing into the threshold, into when, you know, you start really seeing what it is. No different than, you know what I mean, if you did shrooms or LSD or whatever, and these people are doing their little MK Ultra training on you or whatever. You know, this is the level that it hit me at when I started looking into it. And I was like, okay, this more right here is on some other level with regard to the whole music and a message in the music and a song being relative to a subject matter, and you know what I mean, the verses lining up to the point where, because by the time Chrysanthemum, there was already sort of a foggy visual of the end product. You know what I mean? Like, I already knew that this was going to be crazy when everything got when all the tracks got put down and laid down. You know, but I yield the floor because I know there's way more to the name that I can tell you.
So it's on to that good, yeah. And well, Chrysanthemum, I actually you see, this word is crazy because it grew on me. Like, I started it with this guy named Terrence McKenna, and he's a European, but he was the first person to really break down what DMT was and like what it was like to do and all that type of stuff. So like after he broke it down, everybody kind of went crazy about it. But what he included in one of his best interviews was that what you have to do to actually get to the essence of the so-called journey. He said you have to reach this big mandalic like orange thing. He said it looks like a kaleidoscope, but he calls it the chrysanthemum. He said that's just the word that he had for it. So I looked it up, and it's just like it's talking about all this metaphysical like star patterns and flower work, and I'm like, okay. What made me make the song was I was doing some studies about the Ashe Empire, the Sultanate of Ashe. This is the Asiatic Moors. So they said how did it go? Oh yeah, so when the high priest sits on something called the chrysanthemum, and it hit me. I'm like, wait a minute, the high priest is on the chrysanthemum. That's the same word that Terrence McKenna used. So I'm like, I gotta put that in a song some way. And then once I found that beat, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna manifest the song and I'm gonna make it in a way where Cujo ain't gonna have no problem. Like, once I started to go at it, I'm like, oh, all right, cool. This is the perfect style I wanted it to be on. I knew Cujo was gonna jump into like all the metaphysics and all that. So I took it more so on like how I feel when I'm writing ribs. I took it there. So like when people is they study, they can have that aspect, and then when they get the Cujo verse, it could go like metaphysics. So it was just crazy like how it came out, and then all the all the meanings of it is in the verses.
That was
really
heavy.
makes sense.
That was heavy.
And that song is that's one of the songs that like it grows on you, sort of like Asia Major.
Yeah.
It just it just sticks. And like when I make music, I always like to like put stuff in there that people never heard of. And today that gets kind of underappreciated, and it gets kind of lost in the meaning when we have people, with the whole mumble rap craze. So I figured with Moors, it'd be sort of easier, but I got to take it to another level where they never heard of this. So that's kind of where it was at.
Facts. My gosh, because I'm like, man, I've seen some of the most longest, craziest words you could think of in the Sanskrit language and the Greek words and all of that, man, but I ain't never seen that word before.
Never.
I'm thankful that y'all here
never
to educate me and enlighten me, because I'm like, man, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I do want to play that now, but I want to ask you, I know you said y'all, you was doing and y'all was doing y'all. Like, did y'all feel any pressure to outdo anybody? Or was y'all just like, man, I'm going to just do me on this and it's going to be what it's going to be. I don't care who spit what on the bar. Or, you know what I mean? What was the influence? Was there artistic influence? So you like, you know what? This is the vibe we need at this particular point in time.
I got like to answer that because I think you're going to say what I'm thinking. Like,
yeah, I mean, I was in the dark. You know what I mean? I was in the dark because I didn't know what songs were going to be called. I didn't know what beats. I didn't know whatever. And then I just started getting emails with songs, you know what I mean? And then it has the verse on it already. So I'm like, oh, this stuff's going to be easy. All I got to do is feed off of him. That's all I got to do, feed off of him. Everything that he has, feed off of him. So all the tracks were You know, the verse is there, chorus is there. I'm like, damn, I really don't gotta do nothing. All I gotta do is just write. Oh, this is gonna be amazing. So just put the song on repeat and just let it play. You know what I mean? Go through his verse, and then when his verse is done, then put my pen down and just start until my verse is done, and then wait for it to go back around again. You know? So it was that was something never really done before as far as writing, like doing an album like that. You might do a song like that, you know what I mean? Somebody sends their verse or whatever, but you know, to do a full album like that was new. There was a different energy of writing for this, you know. Again, because of the whole just being with yourself with it, you know, on like being with yourself for real, like most, like on past albums that I did, majority of those, it would be in the bus that I'm writing those, because that's just where I could write without getting disturbed if I want to write. You know what I mean? Just sit on an end and just write to an end. You know, or wherever I'm going, always have the book. Anything could pop up at any time. But it was a new breakthrough. You know what I mean? Doing a full album like this, having the verses, because once you have the other individual's verse, then it's not that competition thing. You know what I mean? As if who's gonna outshine who on the whatever. Right? There's no it's a level playing field, because I know that this more is gonna do it. And the other part of it too, which is also masterful, is that you wouldn't even know if you listen to Kasir's pre Hellfire verses, because it's a whole different world on Hellfire. Like it's not even who was in songs pre Hellfire, you know.
Yeah, yo, I don't want to cut your wisdom, but I think that might be Brother Kasir. You got some noise in your background. I don't know if you sound like a woman newscaster or something like that. Yeah, that's more clear. That's more clear. So we're not cutting you in the bill, but just note that.
Yeah.
Peace was my fault. I didn't want
Islam.
to.
Yeah, no worries, more. It's all good. Yeah. So there was a transition that he had made in his expression of the art form that had to sort of suit this. You know what I mean? And then it goes back to that thing of the bar. You know what I mean? Like I'm going on it on, well, I heard his stuff or whatever, so I'm gonna have to write something. I'm gonna have to write something decent, because he has some there's some decent verses on here that I'm getting the first crack of, you know. So my mindset going in wasn't that his is better or mine is better. You know what I mean? It was just, I knew his was great. So mine just has to be great too. That's, you know what I'm saying? You know? But it was interesting being able to write with the verses on the tracks already. Not that it wasn't done before, but doing this as an album, because even Mordians was like that too. You know, a lot of the songs had the verse on it already. you know. So it's even a transition with myself from that to even this, you know, because the Mordians was the same idea. Heard 2 songs and we're like, okay, you know, we just have to do an album. Like we just have to do it, you know. And this, it was like when you look at with us and more science and all these things, you know, like tools of the workshop of the mind was something that was because we're really working on the songs, you know what I mean? Like I would get them and get to listen and say, okay, well, turn this up, turn that down, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like it was just left to the engineers to, you know what I mean, do whatever. There was actually input, because one of the things is with all of the, like, just throughout the years of recording, one of the things that I want to make sure I do and carry on doing is stay in my lane so that others could do what it is that they do. You know what I mean? That I don't need to give input in how something sounds, because you're qualified to make it sound how it's supposed to sound. Like I don't need to put anything in like that, you know. But there was that element of you know, the involvement in the process as far as feedback and all that, and it was good. It was good for the brain, you know what I mean? It was good for the mind, and it was good for the faculties, you know, because again, as some of these things, as I'm writing, I'm studying, you know, like you want to rhyme with a word, but the word, you know, yeah, that word could work, but is that really the word I want to use? Let me just check, you know what I mean? To see if I could line it up, or whatever the case is, you know. But there was it was building something, you know what I mean? It was creating something, really some Frankenstein from the ground up, you know what I mean? Getting all the parts, you know, messing up, having to do stuff over, crumpling up papers. Like I haven't been a crumple up papers in a long time, because again, I had his stuff. So as soon as I'm listening, after his verse, my first 2 lines have to keep you, or then it's gonna be lost. First 2 lines, every single song. First 2 lines had to keep you there. You know what I mean? Because the stuff that was before me, crazy. I was like, this more is going in on some tracks right now. You know what I mean? And it was a good fire on my coattails, you know, to write some good stuff. It was yeah. But I yield the floor.
So it is long. Like basically, that's how I set it up, like a meditation, because it's like I already knew that like nobody was going to be able to see it, the angle we coming at, and I just got to fine tune it to where it's like something new to people's ear, and you know, not the stuff they heard every day and all the time. So since I did it like a meditation, it's like you're only going to have to battle with yourself, like your past verses, your past angles, all your past it's like literally you're battling 12 views every track.
Mm-hmm.
And then so once you get down to that one, you're going to have the best verses you ever had. And I knew Cujo was going to be able to, like, you know, just baffle people. Like, there's no competition. The only competition we had was within ourselves, both of ourselves, higher and lower. Because I know he had to go through it to get some of the verses out. Like, I had to go through it to get the verses out. So it's like, it was done, it was purposely and, like, divinely inspired. So for the best verses to come out on these tracks. Like, there's no other verse that could be put on these tracks. Like, you can sit and write and sit and try to think, but there's no other verse that could be put on any of these tracks.
And I yield the floor. Yeah. Indeed. Yo, fam, I really want to play. I want to play the record now, but I want to further this discussion. But I say somebody in the queue has had their hand up for a while now, and they may be wanting to give y'all some feedback. I'm not sure. Would y'all like me to spin the record or take the caller based off of what was already building on?
Oh yeah, their hands been up. We make them put their hand down.
Yeah, take let them come in.
Okay, bet. Yeah, I'm sure y'all might appreciate the feedback.
Islam.
So peace to caller. Caller 218-673. Thank you for holding. You live on the air. You with us still?
Islam.
Islam.
And allow me to cut in first. I only had a
kind of low, bro. Can you speak more into the phone?
How's it now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better, bro.
Yeah, you're good.
Definitely better.
Again, I appreciate you taking the call. I only had a comment. The portions of the track that you opened up with, and most importantly was the fire that caught me on Mother Roz actually defining more and breaking it down to the water and the fact of it's not a person, place, or thing. It's an action, and that was a most necessary spark that I needed as a reminder against all the naysaying and so forth that I've been hearing from the various forums. And so I have no doubt that the fire that you're speaking about, Brother Mills, is oh man, that and the name has to be on fire too. So I mean, I know that album is it has to be great. I can't wait to hear the whole thing or as much of it as I can of it and get a hold of it. And I just thank you, Brother Crucio and Brother Katis for what y'all done and what y'all doing. And it is like it says. Even as Brother Crucio was describing, the making of it, all I could do was put in parentheses that he said it came together like an adhesion of form, thought, action, and just turned into a manifestation that ties right into Brother Katim's mention of the meditation format, which also ties into that strange word, the description of the orange, which seems to be like vibration and frequency manifested to a higher tone. And I mean, it's just all this, the conversation on it and everything was awesome. And I just wanted to weigh in on that and say just little I've heard. I know those who have their eyes open as well as those who need their eyes to be open. It's there. It's done. Keep up the great work. And I thank you for taking my call.
Islam. Thank you, more. Islam.
Islam, more.
That's peace.
Indeed. So that was, I believe that was Brother Royal Dunn L. It was great to hear from the brethren. And man, that's a great thing. So people gotta I meant to say, or if y'all could say again, where can the people obtain that copy as of now to support and get that music, because you're still dealing with the science of the seven. People remember when we're dealing with the science of the seven, music is one of the 7 liberal arts. So Moors are doing things in many fashions of their ancestral customs. I recall reading in the history of the Moorish Empire in Europe that the so-called, let me say the original Arabs who were still Moors, not no pale-skinned Arab, there's no such thing. But their poems were actually lost, man. Like, like the ancient Moors, their poems were their laws as well. So, you know what I'm saying? For y'all to still be doing essentially, we could call it rhyming, we could call it bars, we could call it lyricism, but it's still essentially a form of poetry expressed at an up-tempo, if you will, as far as I perceive it. Like, it's still poetry. Like, you can't tell me today Muhammad Ali didn't have bars better than some of these dudes right now. In his interviews where he was speaking on rhymes. You know what I'm saying? Muhammad Ali might be on my top 10 list. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Bar spitters.
For sure. For
as well as
sure.
the punchlines in the ring, but I'm just saying. You know what I mean? So it's something that's essential in our customs and culture as being more, So yeah, man, like y'all keeping a lot alive with that, because I know a lot of people rhyme, but a lot of rhymes lack substance, and y'all definitely has, for sure. Okay, so the chat, some people said some crazy things in the chat. I ain't even gonna get into that. People, oh no, I think some sister said that some sister blamed us for her husband about the divorce. That's not funny. What? It's crazy. I don't know what he's talking about, bro. Yo, no, she's saying because of what we teaching or listening or speaking, her husband is about to divorce her. Some Carissa Ali Panahai or something. I don't know. She might be another type of case, but all due respect, ain't got nothing to do with your personal relationship. Like, real talk, this is the craziest thing I've seen in the chat. Just wanted to acknowledge, like, we're just dealing with truth and facts over here. If your household is not built on that, you don't have nothing to do with that. That's crazy. That's crazy, man. But yeah, man. I don't know. People talking crazy in the chat. Y'all can look at it and see for yourselves.
Yeah.
No, she's saying first it was Israelites, now it was Morris. So Israelites.
She accused them of being Israelites. Now we're Moors. Like, I don't know who.
And if she want to be technical with it, before there was Israel, there was there were the Jews, the Moorish Jews of Harlem in the 20s. You know, the left.
Yeah, and then they had the Zion Moorish symbol. And the land that called Israel today was actually Canaan. You know what I mean? Like, that was the land of Canaan. So I don't know why she feel like we was once Israelites, now claiming to be Moors. And this got something to do with a personal situation. I don't know this woman from nothing, bro. That's crazy, bro. But yeah, for the record, just to proclaim at the proper time, we are Moors. You know what I mean? All the sciences is ours. From the elements to all of everything is rooted from Moors. You know what I mean?
And wasn't it the Moors and the Yahudin that got so-called expelled from Al-Andalus together?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
So why would you try to say it's like it's different? Like it's the Moorish Empire, not the Israelite Empire. That's in history. I don't know what she wants to do. Like, it's like tell her husband, don't debate with us. Debate with the people who wrote these histories. He has to debate with his own because they wrote it. ain't really had nothing to do with it.
Like, and I don't know, but I don't think any one of us on here has ever claimed to be an Israelite and then claimed to be a Moor. I don't know none of the Moor's lessons, but I think she's confused, bro. Like, all due respect, but you know what I mean? She might be confused.
You got the wrong Moors.
Yeah, you're trolling the wrong ones. We're not the ones. We're not the ones.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, man. This is about y'all. I want to spin the chrysanthemum joint.
Oh yeah.
But, I mean, after this, I guess we could talk some more hip hop. I know y'all got a top 5 dead or alive. I know y'all got a top 5 dead or alive. Come on, let's talk about it and why.
Run that.
Shout out. Yeah, let me just spin that, but let me say shout out to Yusuf7. Yeah, there will be more Mantis Views videos dropping.
Islam.
Definitely before the summer. But I hope y'all can stick with me with the growth and extension of my topics. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I got a lot of pre-COVID videos. We might not ever see scenarios like that again. So if I share something and, you know, you happen to see a sister dancing and people enjoying themselves, remember it's a social study, because this is something else we got to deal with. Social civics, you know what I'm saying? I was at a hip hop concert, you know, and I never dropped the footage, but someone told me just go there and secure the vibes with the camera and the crowd. And as with this whole COVID thing, I don't know if we'll ever see or be able to be in the crowd like that in public.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think I got material that may be beyond any certain realm and just, I don't know, I got a lot of pre-COVID material, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, but I was working on some other things. But tonight, this ain't really even about me. This is about this El Fire album, because I love it. So, with that being said, hold up, let me get this right. And, yeah, if you don't mind, I'll just go ahead and spin this chrysanthemum. Excuse me, y'all gonna have to give me the etymology and the inflections on how to say this. Give me a week, I'll be able to pronounce this word right. Chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Today, close your eyes and you see the ordinary warm brown that, you know, close eyes, and then
You know we going up Olympics on trial. Do you make it out? Nothing save the nation when I save yourself. Trying to find a package about to play yourself. Caveat until you never heard that red. I like how you say we not taking no civic liars. That constitution got the courtroom on fire. That resolution is power no fire. Coronavirus ain't life on products. Period. Don't carry it. Heavy like a weight on my heart. I'm Jay Marion. My treasure was hard to make. Marion gone, but never lost. Me thoughts and never cherish it. I'm another honky throne. Should be a chariot and various with areas underground like Harriet. Underground like Spirit. Not the heart of America. They come to pharmaceutics. Purple again. How to say highest on how to say highest of the dance. Know my place, know my home, know my days going on to get the grade. It's nice still. We got a light crack in the now we got the city on fire. And I'm trying to get it by fire. You know we going over Olympics on fire.
locked with lockers and words, all in the transitive verbs to stay proper and guided in the true life, and I return the proper sons of Allah, view of 20 masters, they do the rabbits, they throw rocks to our temple windows like crack addicts, make them hard cactus and ripples of hieroglyphics, lightning bolt to the neck of breakfast or rappers, answers to say it's my best is backwards, and lost souls spinning inward in portals backwards, I felt more than national standards of angles, marvelous lights, geometric patterns, I pass my not gathering, when we ask questions in the self-hasmal answers, and you're ready for the truth, God's let go, embrace the interest of beauty, and that's the threshold.
Highest stage, highest off, not a stage, highest circle, not a stage, highest of the stand. No my place, no my home, no my days, going on that kill and free, it's the type of deal with your hands to make that a light crack into the we got the city on fire, and I've been trying to get it by fire. You know we going up a living, don't try it. Study, till you make it out, get out.
Peace more. So yeah, I really was feeling that song right there, needless to say. Needless to even say, man. But it was a lot of truths in that. I love it because you can hear the heavy Moorish knowledge base influence in there, man. Like I just love it. That's all I can say as a listener, reviewing it and just giving y'all the feedback, bro. Like that was fire. And I trust the people that was listening on the online heard that clear too. And it hit with the bass. You know what I mean? So all of that is outstanding, bro. Y'all more keep doing that. You know?
Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what's up.
no doubt about it. So yeah, I mean, y'all MCs, I know y'all got a top 5 that are alive. What's good? Let's just talk about it while we in the hip hop.
I think I got mine. It's not a typical answer, but all the more is gonna get it. Like a top 5 that are alive is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
That's my 5.
There you go.
You can't lose with that top 5 right there. You can't lose.
That's the top 5. I'm not even mad at that. I'm not mad at that. That's a very creative place to come from, bro. Fact.
Straight.
I don't think nobody can beat that top 5.
Yo, that's how. There's no top 5 other than that one. There's no top 5 other than that one.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. You know what I mean? And that's the top 5 for everything.
Yeah,
It's
for everything.
The everything top 5.
There you go.
Straight.
So y'all come from there, you can't lose, man.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Houston said he cheated. Last time out. I mean, he beat it. So, but yeah, more so, like I said, man, y'all have a great chemistry on the records, bro. Y'all keep that going. We do have another caller.
Islam.
Push up on in here what the people have to say. More so than anything. So let me open up the line. Hold up. All right. Please call a 510-599. You live on the air, man. Islam. Man, the song is dope. In California, and I gotta say, man, the metaphors in there, it's heavy. And they say, man, signs are for awakened minds, you know what I mean? So we hear them. And the way you put it out, I think, like you said, the first caller, everybody's going to get it. So that's dope. I was calling in for something different and got lucky to hear this. So I was calling in because I for real, like that's the honest to God too. But I got lucky to hear this and
be a part of this, but I also have an important question. I sent off my proclamation papers way back in February. I got the email saying that you guys are filling them out. I never.
Who you think about specifically? Like, who did you email?
Marty Day. So the email is from. What was her name?
Okay, so then what you got to do? It's not that we don't have respect for what you're saying. Hold on, you said the email is from RV Bay, or was you sure?
Oh no, it's from the actual person that sends out the proclamation.
Okay, well, this is what I'm saying. No disrespect. I don't know right now too much, but there's a lot of people trying to do that, and you may think you've been sending it to RV Bay, but you're not. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know who you're talking about. Like, there's many wars, but some are trying to do what others. It's crazy. So, like, when you say, y'all, you have to be specific. Like, and if you have a Gmail communication, you might have to keep it there. I'm not sure because I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like,
they don't respond at all. Like, I haven't had any responses about proclamation at all. And I know I went through RV Bay's website.
Okay, and you sent it where?
To and I gotta find the email.
That's what I'm saying. What you talking about? We all for it. Like, we understand the right to communion and speech, but like, I'm not sure. If you want, I can take down your information and pass it off, but we can't even make Joe about that because I'm not sure that you even sent it there to who you think you sent it to. So what I do is pass that information off, and if you have had communications, then trustfully, somebody will get to you ASAP. But outside of that, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I'm trying to find the address that's on the website. That's where I sent it to.
All right. Well, this is what you do. What's your appellation, right? What's your appellation?
Mario, like A-R.
Hold on.
M-A-R. Okay.
Hold up. Okay, M-A-R. What's your name? What's your appellation, bro?
M-A-R-I-U-S. Marius. I-O-D-A. Yes. M-A-R-I-U-S. Dale. For the A-L-E.
Okay.
Dale. D-A-L.
All right, what else, bro? Martin,
S-I-N-C.
Dale. All right, nah, look, hold up. You're doing too much, bro. You're doing way too much right now. I just need your number to pass it off to somebody to contact you so that, they can get it straight. Everybody don't need to know your free national name. You ain't got to do all that because I'm telling you right now, I'm not doing all of that. You know what I'm saying? Okay. But I will say some documents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fact.
Hey. Yeah. Same number you calling in off now, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, bro. All right. Thank you.
Islam.
Nah, my fault, Morris.
Oh, you straight, Mark.
I don't know.
This is all good. You already know.
Yeah.
You already know.
So yeah. Man. Okay. Yeah. So that's cool. No, it looked like another caller with the same area code, but it wasn't. But yeah, more as far as that. So yeah, on the chrysanthemum joint, right? You said you said a lot of bars on there. You said when you looking for answers, usually pardon me, I might be misquoting, but I'm paraphrasing because it's still new to me. You know what I'm saying?
It's new to me too. Don't worry.
Most of the time, if you have questions, yeah, you gotta look within, right? It's like, do you mind explaining that bar a little bit more? But like just in this moment, like how deep is that to you? I mean, it means a lot to me. You know, people are always looking outside of themselves, things of that nature. You know, to even be able to spit a bar like that, you know, how deep is that to you? Even when it comes to, you know, Moore's activities, just anybody who's trying to be better in life, like how deep do you think that goes?
But that's
from your perspective,
really that was the inspiration that no matter what it is that you're doing, inner self is gonna have an answer. Doesn't matter what you're doing. You know what I mean? Gardening, washing the dishes, traveling, on a plane somewhere, whatever. The inner voice is always talking to you. It's just, are we hearing? You know, is there too much background noise that we can't even hear the inner voice talking? That if we listen to inner voice more than, you know, we listen to everything else that we listen to, we'll probably be better off. So, you know, and this was sort of like, you know, the concluding to get into the effect of the chrysanthemum, that you're going to start looking within. You know what I mean? And when you start looking within and then you see the threshold, then you just take the jump, because this is what it's about, you know? So that was sort of the conclusion leading up from the beginning of going through all the BS with, you know what I mean, people doing this and that to the temple, trying to stop this as if, you know what I mean? And then you realize that, oh yeah, it's not even about anything external. Everything is supposed to be internalized. If we're saying more science and all that, then if we're saying more science, then, you know, we're talking about tripping out and going to different realms of existence and all that stuff, you know. But that specific line, you know, that's those two, yeah, those last four lines was just the final exhale before you have your eureka moment. You know, I yield the floor. Islam.
Peace.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was muted. I thought I was saying something, but yeah, I mean, still in a great situation. I think that bar hits on a whole nother level, and again, correlating it with the project and the title, to me, it means so much, because, like I said, I personally have been dealing with the element of fire. The first time I sat by a fire pit, like even with my grandfather, he was an A1 stone mason, and that's what he did. When he built houses, he would put the fireplace in it in his day. You know what I mean? But now I've been dealing with like an outside fire pit, and when I sit next to the fire, what it does for me, no different than a shower makes us all feel clean, or bathing, you know, taking your hygiene, it makes you feel clean, and that's based off the element of water. But like standing next to the fire, what it does for me is jog my memory. Like, I don't know if you know what I'm saying, but I'm talking about the real element, like burning real wood, not you know 2x4s from Home Depot, but like real firewood. You know what I'm saying? and sitting next to the fire. To me, like just from my experience, it has always, from as recent as my experience has been, every time I go back into my memory and I remember something, I think about enhancing something that I may have forgotten about. Like that's what it does for me, bro. You know, and I haven't been able to experience that as much until recent. So I think a lot for all the experiences in life, all of the elements, you know, it's important. Even when we're talking about the elements, like you said, whatever you do, whether it's gardening or anything, like I never knew, you know, it's crazy. You know, I'm sticking with the title, being Fire, and it's like really having that experience as a recent and getting more involved with the elements, like even growing things. It's like I didn't know the reason that you toil the soil is so that the soil can actually get oxygen. You know, if the soil doesn't have oxygen, it's not going to produce. So that's why you have to toil it. And I'm like, okay, well, the element of air is more important than just being compatible with fire. Like this is the element of growth. Even when we break it down on the zodiac wheel, when we talk about fire and elements and all of these things, they have extreme interrelations. You know, that I'm just finding out in life. So again, you know, that's all I can say is, you know, from where I stand and the project y'all put together, man, like I really appreciate it in its timeliness, bro, because that's what it's about. When you start dealing with the elements, you stop looking outside of self in a sense, you start looking within. Because everybody is looking for something outside of themselves to save them. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy when you chill out and realize that, you know, usually you can stop looking so much outside yourself and somebody to say you become confident in you. So nobody can be you like you can do it. So I say that in reference to, you know, people looking for something outside of themselves like that. The ultimate answer to what's going to save them, even though everything is interrelated, but a lot of it starts within, you know what I mean? So I leave it at that, and I really do appreciate the bar. But yeah, more it's like stay on the elementary science, I would say, you know, and keep doing your thing with the 7 liberal arts through your music. You know?
I say something just hit me right now too. That when you're talking about that, the whole idea of the 7-Eleven, the 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven, and then the video upload being 52 minutes and 52 seconds, and then the recap being today, which is 7/16, which is 7/7.
7/7, yeah. Oh, no.
You can't make this stuff up. You can't make this up.
So y'all, and you saying it at 10:33, which is another step.
Oh man, stop it. It's love to all the Moors worldwide. Oh snap! They just cut me. That was too much. That was too much. They just cut me. They just did the cutteroni. See how they do that? That's crazy. That is crazy. There should be some room on the new number still. Shouldn't be full. Shouldn't be full.
Love Hope Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
They doing commerce based off of
You are now in the host queue.
establishing civilizations, you know. So yeah, we the same people in a sense, but they know what it is. Don't tell me the Hindustanis that's running the 7-Eleven don't know what that means. You know, yeah, y'all could think it's just luck, but it's deeper than that. But even if you were speaking about the cards earlier, you know, the dice, the gospel dice, all of these things. Oh, hold up. My fault. Hold up. I think we'll just drop out for a second.
Yeah, Muammar.
Okay, good. Okay, cool. Yeah, so even with the 7-Eleven, you know, all of this has historical Moorish references. And like we were speaking even about the store 7-Eleven in the so-called dice games and the gospel dice and these being the lucky numbers, you know? So, but I also always correlate that too to the fact that what they said was 9/11. If we take it from the sun calendar, right? September actually means 7. Or if we just look at the month etymologically. So even the whole 9/11 thing is really still symbolic of 7/11, according to the month of September. That's what the word means. September, October means 8. November means 9. Let's see, December means 10. So it's something so significant about that 7-Eleven because everything they choose to do, the date they choose to do it, always has significance. So we have to be aware of that. You know, I mean, yes, and then it's like that sparked the so-called war on Islam. So it's like it still lines up with the Moorish sign. All like symbolic. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. Let's talk about this. You know what I mean? Because it is a fact. It is a fact. It is a fact. You can look this up on the internet right now. He was talking about post 9/11 or 7/11 and how they was going into Muslims and all of this. But remind you, the Patriot Act, there's been many things about it that was declared unconstitutional and therefore is not valid. On top of that, to this very day, there is no laws on the book in America for homeland terrorists, domestic terrorists. Like there's no federal crime on the statute books or whatever, you know, dealing with that. So like when they be trying to promote Moors as some sort of homeland terrorists or homegrown terrorists or paper terrorists, like all of that is BS, bro. Like and people have been falling for that media op. People have been falling for that media op, and it's a sad thing that they would even try to do that, but they did. And you know, a lot of people need to know that even when they're doing that, it's nothing. It's a false narrative, but even with that narrative, as harsh as it sounds, it's nothing on the book saying anything about a statute for homeland terrorism. And I promise you, I'm not sitting here trying to support that. You know, destruction is the right way, but I'm just saying when they're falsely labeling, you know, ordinary, peaceful, law-abiding people as terrorists, like that shit is sick. That is very sad.
Yeah.
And you need to know that there's nothing in the books that can technically stick. And they say the reason that it's not a law for homeland terrorism, a criminal statute or whatever, criminal law for homeland terrorism is because how they deal with terrorists in America, it is unconstitutional. None of those laws, none of those accusations, none of that legislation will survive a constitutional challenge. That's why they said there's no there's no laws dealing in America of homeland terrorism. The only jurisdiction that they exercise it with is international because in other lands like Iraq and Iran, the law of the land is not the constitution that's here. So they're not put in check and have balances, based off of the law of this land. So they get their thing off overseas. This is why you see them doing that. But in the reality of it, I didn't make this up. All of this has been known. In some cases, you got articles from 2019 talking about this. But again, it came up and resurfaced, all those protests and all of that. So I'm just saying that to say that, when we correlate 7/11, 9/11, because September means 7, and we know how historical that area is for Moors, and what we call in general the post 9/11 world, you got to remember all of this has historical significance and how they try to make Moors and Muslims, Muslim faith-based people feel as if, there's some sort of terrorist. Do you know it was the sister of a Muslim woman? Excuse me. I don't know if she was a sister, but she was indeed a Muslim woman, because anybody allegedly, to adopt the Islamic faith that don't make you a Moor. But anyway, down in Kansas, they denied her entry into the gun range because she wouldn't pick off her. Yeah, it was in Missouri. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, Kansas City, Missouri. A Lee Summit gun range discriminated against a Muslim woman by denying her access to their facility, according to a Washington, D.C.-based civil rights organization that demanded an immediate federal probe on Thursday, that's today. Mia Baraki said staff at Frontier Justice denied her access to the gun range after she refused to remove her hijab, a religious head covering worn by Muslim women. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, I took it there because we was just mentioning 9/11 and post, 9/11 and Patriot Act, where we are in society today, the false narratives of being terrorists and all of this craziness. The reality is none of that has any stand in the law. So just today, you know what I mean? They denied the Muslim woman to the gun range, but she would not take off her hijab. What's that about?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying everybody's supposed to go up in arms. I'm just saying these are certain rights that people exercise. It's just a fact. That's a fact. And they have been made to be something other than what the rights was intended for by these false narratives, created by descendants of colonists in America, man. So I'm just saying we got to stick to our culture. And once again, brothers are doing a great job with that, especially through the music and the literature, because that's for the free people, the free mind, or to help free the mind. So, that's all I can say about that, boy. But we got about 15 minutes until the live broadcast ends on the air. Is there anything you brothers want to say and closer to the internet audience on MHHS Blog Talk Radio? I know we still have another hour left that could be captured right now on Canaanland Moore's YouTube page. But for our listening audience on MHHS Sons of Allah Blog Talk Radio, is there anything you brothers would like to say in closing?
Well, actually, I wanted to ask you about this. You heard about the Nick Cannon getting dropped for his remarks and stuff like that?
Oh, got it. Let's talk about, man.
Yeah. Let's throw that out there for the Moors to talk about.
But this is what I'm saying. Like you can't be and you know what? This is what I like about it too, because I recall the other day somewhere you posted. I recall you had a listening party for this project.
Yeah.
And somewhere in there you were saying, or somewhere in something you posted, you said we own our masters, support us.
Right.
Like now, in contrast to Nick Cannon, he's contracted with so many other people, right? That you can't really just say what he want to say like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? They brought he brought Professor Griff, my G, on the Nick Cannon podcast and tried to get loose with the tongue. I'm not knocking nobody's freedom of speech, but you know when they put him on, man, like that's something that we being shown we don't need. I pray the best for the brethren. You know, maybe he needs to realize in all of this that he never really needed them, especially now that they really can't do much anyway. You know, y'all seen on TV, they got reality TV shows. They look like goddamn YouTube live streams, real talk. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me, you know, commentary TV shows. And you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's done more than the YouTube Canaanland Boys live. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's the setup. Not that that's bad, but I'm saying so. In these days and times, maybe the universe is configuring things to go how they're supposed to, because you know reality is okay. Yeah, they probably had the bigger bag. They got the bigger corporate funds. But let's look at the positivities. Nick Cannon is into all of that. He been saying in his bars that he know about more science and he's following more science and all this shit. Well, then now it's time to boss up, and it's not just him. All of us should be getting this lesson. I know I'm learning it too. I'm understanding it too. Not that somebody cut me off or anything like that, but this is the lesson that's amongst us. What did you think was going to happen? You think in a racial climate like this, you're going to say something like that and then cutting your check? Like, if I work at, let's say, all right, take Atlantic City, New Jersey. If I work at Caesars, and I'm in there talking about, F the Romans and all of this shit. I'm going to think I'm going to last year. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, real talk. Like, against my situation, right? Like, Caesar is a Roman. So, it's only so long you could get the people that you know what I'm saying? Like, you might feel like that. It's a lot of people who feel like, man, I can't stand my so-called boss. They working like that. Times what that has to be. It's the universe is look. Let's be for real. We could go on and on this, but yo, don't tell me the prophecy is not manifesting and these so-called celebrities who've been saying they more conscious. Now it's time to show them food. Now it's time to put up or shut up, because Prophet Noble Ali told you, since you're saying that you follow more science, he told you that this day was coming when the wheels of industry was going to stop. And it happened this year, 2020, the Gregorian calendar. Don't tell me this ain't a prophecy that manifested. You know what I'm saying? I'm not hearing it. It happened. You in it now. And for y'all who didn't get it and thought you was going back, you ain't going back. You're not going back. It's done. If you're going to be yourself, you're going to have to be yourself. And that's just what it is. So, brothers like that, I'm not saying he's a bad person, but the reality is this is where the universe is pushing. Whether we want to go or not, some of us is going to have to go kicking and screaming to now take over our own thing and bring that knowledge and wisdom. Since, Noble Ali was a universal prophet for everybody, but now it's time to give back the knowledge that you utilize in the sense of, mastering your situation. But under the people you was talking about, it's not going to work like that. You got to have a home where you can say what you want to say and not be looked at by an audience that's going to do you some economic damage because they control your purse strings. Like, that's not going to work no more. You know what I'm saying? This is a very so-called racially sensitive time, and everybody has to be careful on how they're saying what they're saying, because everybody in their nationality is feeling some type of way right now. You know, everybody is being exposed. Okay, so even like you look at the police in New York, they talking about, since you're putting up Black Lives Matter news on the streets, they want to put up a Blue Lives Matter. Okay, so this is all colored politics. this shit gotta change if we're gonna actually make change. Stephen A. told people on the ESPN the other day, it's starting to look like a joke because there's no legislative change. You know what I mean? And that's going to be needed. You know, we can do all of that, but that's not needed. What's needed is so-called legislative change. You know, shit should be already, you know, designated hate crimes on the federal level. This shit is not even out to lunch. Just let everybody out to lunch. My fault, I'm going on about everything else, but you know, I'm saying
you good, boy. You all right.
Nick Cannon is a prime example of you can't hold on to the old shit. Even if you claim you're North American, okay, bet. Now you gotta live up to them standards, bro. You go independent because Noble Ali was saying more of men who are upright, keyword, independent, and fearless. Fuck it. Go ahead, because I know I never count nobody's pockets like that, but I know he's okay for now. He's going to be better off than most people in these times. But a lot of people just lost their source of food. You know what I mean? Look at all the battle rappers that was on Wild 'N Out and don't have a job now because they canceled Wild 'N Out.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, y'all gonna have to understand. You have to do your own thing in these days and times. There is no job no more, man. That shit ain't coming back for a long time.
Yeah.
I apologize to most of y'all. I hope that shit is going to open next week. This shit ain't never going back to what you thought you knew. This is checkmate shit right here. If you ain't already on your principles, you know what I'm saying? This shit is over. Game over. A lot of this shit is collapsing and ain't never coming back. They talk all that blah blah about schools coming back. School ain't coming back. It's done. They can try that, but yeah, let an outbreak happen when they open up the schools again. And see how many mothers and fathers sue the shit out of these schools for liability. You know what I'm saying? And state governors and all of that. And then that's why you got teachers in so-called Illinois right now pushing and saying, hell no, we're not coming back in fall. If we open up in fall, it's going to have to be digital. Once again, we are moving into the digital age. There's nothing nobody can stop it. The playing field is even now. It's absolutely even now. So, you know what I mean? That would be my only words to Nick Cannon is like, you know, I know that shit got us in because you put so much sweat equity into that, but those days is done, bro. We can't do it for them no more. We gotta do it for us.
Do for self now.
That's it.
You gotta do for self now.
That's pre-COVID. That's what I'm saying. Let's recap life from now. Everybody acting like nothing just happened. No shit just happened. It's an economic entanglement, restraint, you know, goddamn chokehold on industries right now. Don't act like that's not happening. I don't care if they open and all you can do is pick up out. And no, the shit is messed up right now. And we ain't gonna act like it's not. Yeah. According to what we know, let me say that. Not that it's a messed up thing. Change is always good, but it ain't nothing like what it used to be. And anybody acting like it is, it's not in, you know, what's going on in the world right now. You know what I mean? So I don't know, bro. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go on the rant, y'all, but I just say this is the poster child of having to let go and being able to do your own thing at this moment. Yeah. And like sisters was pointing out, how did Nick Cannon get fired for saying something that was allegedly anti-Semitic? Meanwhile, the same European highwaymen who killed Breonna Taylor and all of them, these niggas still ain't get fired. Mm-hmm. So, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? They didn't even get, what did they get, suspended?
If that.
They killed the woman, bro. They killed the woman and didn't lose their job, but they fired Nick Cannon because he had a point of view that may or may not have been correct according to certain people. You know what I mean? And I don't know what's in this contract, but you know, I don't know, man. But this is some crazy time. So you look at the social justice aspect of it, and you know, it's like There's something to be said about that. I don't know, but I'm gonna use the floor because I could go on this subject for whatever. However, we can talk about this all night, rest of the year, whatever. I know I a lot to say about that. Well,
Yeah, I had my rant today on IG. So I'm a yield if Kasir has anything to add on to the whole Nick Cannon thing. But I definitely echo the sentiments that Miz said about if you've been saying that you're a Moor, then you better be a Moor right now, because if you've been saying it and then when time comes you're not it, you're gonna have issues. By you, go ahead, Mo.
That was kind of my thing with it. It's like I know it was just like kind of on stuff, but if you watch behind the closed doors, it's like he was asked a couple times like was he on some more stuff, like the president or not, and he bounced around. He had trouble with the question. He couldn't straight answer it. Yeah, I'm a Moor. No, I'm gabbling around with that. Or I'm studying the Moorish science. It's like, are you a Moor or are you not a Moor? And then it turns out that he's playing around with this Hebrew Israelite stuff, which is kind of biting off the so-called Jews. It's like, why are you even going that way? There's a whole like history of the Moors being in tandem with the Yahudi. So I don't like, so when he bounced around with it, it's like now, you know, they already see, you know how we get the test around after we start proclaiming. We get tested in society, we get tested in so-called venues of court or, you know, Article 3 preferably. But, you know, we get tested. They'll say, oh, well, where do you live? And you know, in my body. Well, you know, like, you know, you have to know these things because they know if you're a Moor or not. So I think this was another test where he failed. Like, he didn't say, oh, I'm a Moor or anything. Or he claimed for Semitic, but then he didn't proclaim a nationality behind it. He started saying, you know, belief system. No nationality. So it's like no standing and talk on anything political or anything like that about people because you don't have any standing. So we're just seeing it in another colorful aspect. And then I like how he went and apologized, and then he dropped Professor Rick's name. Like he said the whole thing. I was like, what's going on? And then all the new pictures you see, there's no character. So I'm like, see, this is exactly how they do you when you want to bounce around and play around and not have a nationality, because they will not take a Moorish fez off. They will not take a Moorish turban off to be proclaimed a Moor. When this is all for playing around with a religion.
Yeah. And on top of that, I'm not hating, but with all the people he interviewed, I don't recall him, doing any credible Moors. Like, they was all Moors, don't get me wrong, technically speaking, but like I didn't see him invite any more on the show, like from the temple or nothing. Like Moors just out here. You can take it down the line. Like I never seen more proclaim more on the show. Am I missing something? Did y'all ever see a more on there? Like not that they like okay, so like okay, we know that we're all Moors. Excuse me, let me not get that mixed up. But like any credible teacher that you know that's a Moor. Did you ever see that on this platform?
No.
Nah. He's playing. He's not a Moor. He's a thief. Or like some other stuff. Like he's playing. He's not trying to teach the people that they have a nationality. He's trying to take people in the black and white videos of poetry and, angry poetry about black people. Like, listen to his language. I mean, if he was really studying his language, he changed his mind. So if he's still in the face, the crowd is, looking for him at, but not looking back. So, this is what he gets. This is what you're going to get. And then I've seen also, he was rubbing shoulders with another, gentleman who they, attacked when he made these same statements. But whatever he did, he got right, because there's pictures all over where you got like I guess you can call them like city Jews, taking pictures of them. It's being verified. So, you know, and then I seen them rubbing shoulders with them. I seen pictures where Nick Cannon got the, you know, put on mask on, say Nick Cannon on it with verified. So it's like, I still don't know what this is yet. But you know what? I'm still waiting for Dr. Sabi to do that. And I think this is all a ploy to get out of that whole thing. Because remember, he's supposed to drop a Dr. Sabi documentary. And then he did a trailer. Yeah, and now the same people Viacom aren't going to fund him for that video. So we're not going to get the damn documentary after all.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not hating on the brothers, but Red Pill said it itself. Like, how you going to drop a Dr. Sabi video and you ain't even holler at Mama Phil? Like, what are you talking about? How they ain't holler at Red Pill, Blue Pill, or Mama Phil? You about to drop a Dr. And don't get me wrong, all support to his blood family, but like Greg said, you know, it was 3 people in the indictment. What are you talking about? Like, you know what I'm saying? And you know what I mean? Like, so what document you? That's what I'm saying. Like, how you gonna do that?
It was all the scheme to get like the conscious community to pay attention to him. Like you know, and start trying to conscious rap and battle him and all of it, like fluff. But I knew it when he did it. I knew it at that time he wasn't going to do it. I knew it. Like anyone that I talked to, like you know, back then, it's like I knew for a fact he wasn't going to do it, yo. And then it just turns out that all these things happen. You know, of course they pull on the heart chakras with the boys to get us to, you know. But I'm like, wait, we had a chance to say he was the more he did. So in interim, if he was like a regular YouTube guy, we'd be shutting on him. We'd be shutting on him because he would be one of them guys that's playing the fence, doing, you know, videos with other boys that we don't, you know, that's just playing around. And in this interim, it was like I felt that the whole time he was never going to do that video. And it's like now it doesn't happen. And in some magic way, it makes sense for it not to happen. It's like this is something about this is weird to me. Something about this is weird. Like, I mean, like we know the candidates, we know the fields, we know they have talked to the football shoes and all that. So this is strange. This is, I don't know what this is yet, but this is a little strange. Like I know how the so-called the fact of they like to point their finger one way, but direct your attention to it, but then really the trick is happening the other way. So to me, this is one of those moments, like where it seems like they're attacking them and stuff like that. But to me, this might be an undercover initiation. So I seen them bump the shoulders with. You know, we can see how it plays out. But this is one of them weird situations because we all know, like before they put you on, it's an initiation of humiliation. So I don't know.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's so much to speculate on, but my thing is, I have no hate against this brother, but there's some things he might need to sit down, reconsider, and do this independent thing. And the first thing is, if we're going to do a documentary about Dr. Sabi still, even after Viacom, because I know he still got bread, I think that if that's still in a mission, and we're going to do it independent, you got to holler at Red Pill, Blue Pill, and Mama Phil, and other members of Dr. Sabi's family. But I don't want to see it if Mama Phil ain't on it personally, because I feel like this. Every time I see a movie about Harriet Tubman or Araminta Ross, he's always leaving out the part where she was a nurse at Fort Monroe. It's like y'all act like she was just a runaway slave. Mm-hmm. She ain't have no healing powers. You know what I'm saying? She didn't have spots in between every so-called state she went through. You're not showing none of that. You're just gonna act like she made it to the north and ain't have no experience. She just went straight like a machine. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're right.
Can't stand that, right?
Yeah, like she was a runaway slave. She was a nurse too. So like I feel like, you know, some of our elders and especially the women as well, their story is not being told in full. You know what I'm saying? It's not being told in full, especially and they're just trying to take the way of seeing the best parts, the most attractive. But it's like, why wouldn't that be attractive? That Harriet Tubman, so-called Harriet Tubman, I'm sorry, I love her original appellation, Araminta. I don't mean no disrespect when I say it, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I just like that original appellation, Araminta. That shit is beautiful. But, you know, she wasn't just some underweight woman, you know, desperate and didn't have, like, she was advanced and she had healing powers, you know, nursing skills. That's documented as what she did in Fort Monroe. So I say that to say that don't talk to me about a documentary about the brother and leave parts out unless it's going to be a series. If it's going to be like a 10-part series, like how they did for Jordan's The Last Dance, and we're going to put everything throughout a 10-part series, then, you know, I'll be like, okay, I understand that. But just, you know, a 2-hour, 3-hour movie and leave certain people out, nah, I'm not feeling that, bro. Like, I'm just not. But that's not my place. I'm just saying I wouldn't be all about that right there. Because the story is deep. I'm not saying I know everything. So if I watched it, I learned something I didn't know. But what I do know is that there's people who was instrumental who need to be recognized. That's all I'm saying. You know, because they're always the most important part in anybody's story. You know what I mean? It's the instrumental people, people that you don't see in the front, the people who don't want the spotlight. They just know what they're there to do that well. So, you know, and I don't know, man. But y'all feel me on that, or am I going on too much?
No, you straight, man.
So look, we got a caller. I believe this is brother I seen, bro. I believe this is brother I seen. This is a beautiful thing. Please send it over. Call us 82360. Live on the air. Peace, local. Peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Peace more. Islam.
You take the affirmation, bro? It's a Marriott Sierra Bay. Charlotte headed, what they call the territory. Okay, peace, noble. Oh, man, peace, brother. How's it out there? Man, it's crazy everywhere, man. Crazy everywhere. Nonsense is what it is. Nonsense. For real. And not to take y'all off topic, but what I don't get is how they say, wear your mask. But when we breathe out carbon dioxide. So when you breathe carbon dioxide into that mask, you're returning carbon dioxide back into your body instead of letting the trees do this thing and return us oxygen. That can't be good for the body. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy to me. You got people wearing masks everywhere in the cars and stuff. But yeah, it's crazy nonsense everywhere, man. It's like people will say they believe in God, Allah, and whatever it is they believe in, but then don't believe that He gave us the things to help us. Nonsense. Like, but you know, that's what we dealing with, man. I don't complain about nothing. Just go through dealing with it. But I had a quick question on the Nick Cannon thing. Do y'all believe that he was in that position? He's in the position he's in right now because of the savage thing he was talking about, or him mentioning Noble Drew Ali in the "I Can't Breathe" video? Y'all feel like that played a part? No, I honestly can't speak on it because and this is no diss, but I didn't follow it like that. Maybe, you know, I don't know, I missed the share or something, but I didn't see any of that. I heard a couple of songs when you mentioned it, but I didn't see the video. So I don't hear that people anybody else that y'all see me. I'd love to hear y'all perspective.
Just the same way anybody else, like, you ask them, like, oh, what do you know about Morris science? So I know about, Morris science, the higher degrees and all this, and over the Ali. Are you a Moore? Well, I just studied the science. How would that work in court? Like in law, like that won't work in law. Like you're playing around. Like no time to play. It's 2020, and all vision is clear. All knowledge is out. So, things fall short if the knowledge, if the information doesn't add up. Like something like COVID, the information and it doesn't add up, so it's falling apart. Like you were saying that you're breathing back in the carbon dioxide. You cut down your oxygen intake, so you're giving yourself headaches. It's also these things that they're doing. It's all based off of military small torture tactics. So people are experiencing forms of torture, and the symptoms that you develop from this torture is stress, which leads to the same symptoms that they say COVID follows. So this game is to be played off of mental aspect first. Like that's how you have to do this now. If you're gonna go into it with the body or some emotion, it's not gonna be present. You have to be mentally clear of what you're doing. And I don't like how he plays and dances around the topic of just being a Moor. This is the same thing that we have the problems with of other people on YouTube. So because he's at a higher, on a higher plane, on a higher stage, as you will, it should be more of a thing for him. It's like the punishment or the backbite for him not saying and proclaiming on the stage that he's on. He bears a bigger responsibility. So it's just a terrible thing, and like how it's playing out. But if it was anybody else and they were doing this, we wouldn't take kindly to it as far as him not just saying that he's a Moor. It's the same thing that Farrakhan did. He pulled out the Noble Jali. He said Noble Jali. Oh, thank you, Noble Jali. We thank him. He put on the thread, put the turban back on. He put it back in the box. So it's like, it doesn't matter if he's not going to tell the people, hey, look, this is the real song. It doesn't matter. So I think that's where Nick Cannon is at, especially if he's rubbing shoulders with that same individual. And it's kind of, you're in the same boat. You're not telling the people the truth or the truth.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, brother. But Noble Ali did say, if I can get you to thinking, you'll free yourself, right? So maybe in his attempt to lead people to Noble Ali, they'll start thinking for themselves. And on a broader scale, bring people closer to their nationality versus not saying anything at all and still promoting violence and, all the other stuff that people promote in their raps. You know what I'm saying? So he is held to a higher standard because he's a celebrity, but at the same time, they kind of got to watch what they say. And not only that, because of, the higher ups executing or taking them out, you know what I'm saying? But also the people, it's this thing going around like Ned said earlier. Are we Hebrew Israelites? Are we Moors? And so people are saying that the Moors was traitors because they seen this video that if they would read the dates for themselves, it would get to the fact that these people wasn't even calling themselves Moors. These people that and they misconstrue it. So if I lead you to the truth, then you can start thinking for yourself and free yourself. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if that's what his intentions was, but I do understand where you're coming from.
It's like, I see people like from two different aspects of the entertainment world. The Cream Bay, shout out to him, and Yasin Bay, shout out to him. Those are two individuals that both got to a far degree in superstardom. One is like, they're trying to basically put up against every other star out there that is on the court, including LeBron James and Kobe, rest in peace, or rest in power. And for Yasin Bey, I mean, we've seen this guy in so many movies. I mean, a Divine movie, now that I think about it, what was it, 16 Block? Was that 16 Block?
16 Blocks?
I can't remember. If it was 16 Block, I never heard it because it was 7. But it was a movie he was in with Bruce Willis.
Oh, yeah.
On the list of other movies and a bunch of rap. But for some reason, he found his way to Islam. And so did Supreme Bay. And it was like, for some reason, they chose their nationality over the superstardom. And with everything they still, they gained off of being superstars, they continue the journey in superstardom in their own way with a national team. I still see y'all seen those videos, he's in the desert with some other more turbulent flying and all that. And Supreme Day, we already know he's fashion, so he already had his businesses and all that. But when they didn't let him put the Bay on, he just couldn't do it. He said, "You're not gonna let me live and be myself, and I can't do this. But I'm going to maintain my fashion because I built, I already built businesses. So, it's just things that I see like that. And then, Andre too. Andre took a couple of pictures of the fashion magazine with his stuff on, and you just haven't seen him in the limelight. I think Eric about to told him some stuff.
True.
I hope Nick gets it though. I hope he figures it out. And this is definitely a good time for him to sit down and be able to meditate back on. Look at how if this is all an all out attack, make it look like he has the time to sit down and say, "This is what happened, and this is what they gave me, and this is what they took away from me when I did something. This is my option outside of that, where I actually have money or so-called fiat. I have businesses, and I also have an opportunity to proclaim my nationality, and it's the world to hear it. I would give this for proclamation." So this battles and because you get all the way, all the laws put it in. Yeah. You just need to go all the way at this point, you know what I'm saying? Because this thing ain't never gonna be the same again. And I'm gonna tell you another thing. That from where I'm at, I don't think it's coming back anytime soon. There's a lot of industry that's gonna die, and I believe the movie theater is going to be one of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, they got out of where I'm at right now. Got out of time. Yeah, go check the movie theaters open right now. Where I'm at, and I see what's happening with the digital wave. I mean, they may come back. All of the movie theaters, they created a coalition. They sued the governor of the state of New Jersey. Like, he was being biased on letting them reopen. And when they went to sue him, the Supreme Court judge dismissed the case. You know what I mean? They're like, "Yo, you can't even question this right now." So I think that might be one of the industries that died, bro. Like in that fashion, it's gonna be so very to already pull up almost anything right off your phone or your laptop or your TV or whatever. Disney and all of that, they're saying they ain't trying to really drop movies unless they're streaming them like that. But now, I'm telling you, man, like this is the wheels of industry stopping, and there's a more in every level of society. Every level of society right now who has the opportunity to go independent if they can, you know what I mean? Or try or endeavor to the best of their ability. So I'm saying, if we can pull up and on the TV, they got your favorite talk shows and, all of that is right on screen like a YouTube live stream.
And, you know, we definitely in a different day and time with that industry.
Mm-hmm.
And it might not ever come back. Or it may be after a while, very long time. So everybody got an adjustment, and I just hope that brother finds his path and speaks on it. But it's a lesson for everybody.
Everybody.
Because the First Amendment, and what they're saying is, remember why these got dropped. You know, it's points of view on so-called race, when we generalize this in the general public or the pop culture, is he said something, you know, about race, and you know they 86 them because of that. But it's back to the First Amendment. If we're the original people, yeah, right. We're the original people. I mean, yeah, it's fact. Yeah. And then it's like, well, it can't be anti-Semitic. That's like me saying, that's like one of us saying something about America. Like I'm American. Like let's say, I'm American, and forget the Europeans. They're not really Americans because they're Europeans. You know what I mean? I can't be dissing America. I'm just saying that they're not Americans. You know what I mean? So in that sense, it's like, okay, it's questionable, but this is more important than anything. If you really following more science and what we lead, then you should know about your fundamental rights, freedom of speech, which I'm sure the brother does. And when you get into contract and they start owning your tune, that's why earlier when people was trying to text me what to say, I'd be like, man, look, stop playing with me. You know what I mean? I'm not here to say what you want me to say. Call in and add on. Because once they start manipulating and controlling what you say something out of line or something somebody disagree with, now all of a sudden you're the scum of the earth. You don't need you no more. You know what I mean? So that's how he needs to, you know, really prepare himself for that. If he's going to keep doing media, because it's needed. And he has some very creative and ingenious episodes on Wild and Out and all of that. And it's fun and all of that. You know, it's a good show. But now he got to take that into his own hands. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, even though it might sting, he'd probably be better off when he could go unfiltered. You know what I mean? Like he could say what he want to say. You know, First Amendment, if he go that way. You know? But yeah, that's not for me to call. I'm just saying that's what he needs to. That's what he should be doing with it. Like this. I wonder if he signed anything that says that he couldn't say, or I wonder if he signed all rights reserved, because if he did, then he should have a suit. You know what I'm saying? According to unconstitutional, that's a violation of the First Amendment, like you said. So if I reserve my rights, which they should be reserved anyway, but ain't no telling within the contract. But look, we in the days where all the corporations are rebranding themselves, bro. Like, y'all think it's a game. I know y'all watch ESPN, football, basketball. Like, every corporation in America right now is rebranding themselves, and they're doing it for the public eye, right? To have some sort of racial equality.
Social justice. Yeah, some social justice shit. Yeah. Yeah, I'm saying some type of social justice perspective.
Yeah, like y'all think they signed Cam Newton on the New England Patriots just because he's nice? Like, nah, bro. That was a rebrand. You're talking about, for the sake of argument, let's just say what people would consider not even a black man, just let's say an African, just generally, you know, a descendant of, we know we Moors. But do you understand what that means for a Moor to be the face of the Patriots organization? It's these after Tom Brady left, that European boy been the beast or the GOAT for the past 20 years. Stop playing. But they know that was a wise move to rebrand rebrand themselves because everybody know who the Patriots or the Patriarchs or who New England really is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These are the colonies. So they just made a Morris man for all intents and purposes, the face of the New England Patriots. Every business is rebranding themselves right now. Y'all better pay attention. This is not the time to be uninformed of what's happening in this world right now. It is not the time for that. Y'all better be paying attention to what's going on. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to these businesses, because all of these corporations right now are racially sensitive, for lack of a better word. They're image sensitive right now. Why is that? Because people are calling out that shit on every level. Oh, why is it that all of the geniuses is one rank below the highest paid out? You know what I mean? Why is it that all of their hard work is like, see, like, let's look at it like this. All of the so-called Union States or United States are corporations, right? Now, you got so-called, I'm saying so-called, and I'm saying so-called because y'all know I know I'm a board, but let's just for the general public say that what they say is an African-American man or woman, they're only mayors in different cities of these so-called states. But you name me one Moorish state that's a governor of any of the Union or United States. Name me one so-called governor. And don't even say, oh, well, Barack was just president. We know his mom is a European. Name me a so-called Moor that's the face of any of their businesses right now. The governor. There is zero. If I'm wrong, correct me. Because I think that the system was never really built for us anyway. But all of these other corporations, they're not the only corporation, they're very brand sensitive right now. So they're trying to make it look like, oh, well, this is the equality, and the NBA is coming back and they can wear social justice statements on the back of their jerseys and all of this. We're in times where everything is racially motivated, so-called racially. But we know it's only one race, the human race. I don't want to ramble on, but I'm just saying I recognize the time here from my point of view, from my perspective. If I'm tripping, y'all can let me know. If you feel what I'm saying, let me know. But I'm just seeing it like that. You know what I mean? Like, I see it like that. The state of New Jersey just appointed or nominated a Moorish woman or a so-called Haitian sister to the Supreme Court justice. We know that, yeah, they're still under their system, but they're trying to rebrand themselves. Oh, no, no. It's not like that. It's not like that's how they coming up. Oh, it's not like that. See, we got a so-called black man and the black woman as the head of whatever, trying to satisfy the incompetent in what they call the natives, the restless natives and whatnot. So I'm just saying, I'm eyes wide open on what's happening in this corporate world. It's changing apparently. Don't mean internally, but apparently that's the image they're trying to portray. Is that, oh, we're going to change. Like, even where I'm at, they just made the sister the head, the president of the Borgata Casino and Hotel and Spa. Why did they do that? Not because she's not qualified, so to say, but they know they're falling. They have to make Moors the face of their corporation nowadays, because they always have done that when their shit is falling. Oh, let's make a Moor the face, and then publicly it could be their fault. You know what I'm saying? We could say we did what we were supposed to do. We weren't racially inequity and racially equitable or whatever. This is just how they do, bro. Like, I see it. I see it very clear. So, yeah, more my fault. I don't mean to ramble off, man. I'm going to yield the floor right there, bro.
Islam. Yeah, I mean, I think it, like, it goes back to the vision, that Noble Drew Ali had when they got Oscar De Priest in office. And following that pattern, we would be able to say we have multiple different ones of us in the quote unquote so-called government or whatever. But it also is, again, showing that, like you were talking about with the race, going back to Drew Ali, that if you have race pride and love your race, then what the Moorish Science Temple of America is dealing with is where you need to be at. If you're really about some race pride or race whatever, because the time right now is, for real, everything that Drew Ali said, love has to be before hate right now, right? Everybody around here is trying to push some love instead of hate. It might be pseudo, it might be de facto, it might be with strings attached, but everybody's playing some love and, be sympathetic and empathize and all this, because this is where it's going. The industry stopped and everything's supposed to be going back into the Asiatics' favor. But the Asiatics aren't ready. They want to play NBA still. People are getting murdered in the street. That all of them couldn't say, forget this, no league. That they couldn't do that. They're gonna go play in some bubble. Have them like slaves on the compound. And it's okay because they're getting their 500 million a year or whatever. No, it's not okay. You're teaching generations of young people to be slaves. You're teaching them not to stand up for anything that's right. You're teaching them to yield. You're not teaching them to be great athletes and all this. You're teaching them to be negligent when it comes to society. It's only about you. It's not about the whole. That's what I see being taught. Because all these people, all of them, should have said, hell no, we're not going to play jack. The people getting murdered in the street by highwaymen who we're going to be doing our security. Forget that.
Yeah, that's why I said, bro, the realest response, in my opinion, bro, came from those out Minneapolis, Minnesota, so-called.
Yeah.
Both of those are Aboriginal Appalachians, by the way, because immediately, I think it was the Vikings or the Minnesota college team, when that happened with George Floyd, they immediately terminated their contract of security, bro. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I said last Sons of Allah, that to me, what happened out there was the realest response that anybody, I don't care where we marching and all of that, nobody did nothing realer thus far than what they did out there, bro. Like the college, or it might have been the Minnesota Vikings part of it, but they immediately said, we do not have, they terminated their contract with the police out there as the security guards, bro. ASAP. That was the first, that's why I said that. Like, but to your point, yeah, they got the same highwaymen and policy enforcers that they got on the payroll being in security. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's,
And it was only four so-called Moorish mayor governors ever.
That was correct.
So you can't even throw up your hand. It's forever. And then I'm looking at them, and they all look like, the mother was probably European or something. So it's like, yeah, so that's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. That's what I'm saying. Like, they can be called up for the drug and closed for.
Yeah. And then Negroes is happy because they got mayor elected in some town. Like, I mean, if the governor say you can't do this in this town, it still supersedes the authority. I'm not mad at it, but it's like you're still under their jurisdiction and you got the power over you and to pull the Trump card in the town. So I'm like, until Moores is actually running that corporation, what relevance does it have to any of us? You know, no matter if it's appoint a woman, a sister, or even a brother as the Supreme Court judge or justice. You know what I'm saying? If the governor puts in an executive order, yes, you have to have constitutional limitations, but at the end of the day, you know, there's no power in their society, under their structure. These states higher than the government. So, you know, I'm just saying, like, and then what's crazy is, I believe it's a lot of these governors who have names that come from Moors. So once you start tracing these names back, you know, you see that, oh shit, they got Moors, exact Moors appellations. Like the governor of New Jersey his last name is Murphy. But we know that Murphy is Moor.
Mm-hmm.
Murphy, Murray, all of that. Like even at the park, Marcus Garvey Park and was Morris Park, like they said it was, I think it was a governor or mayor was named after, but they said that we don't know where the origin of his name came from. But that's what we call it. But we know, knowing European history and Moorish history, that, you know, Morris is from Moors. You don't want to act like y'all know where his name came from. But that, we know that comes from Moors. That's a fact. Ancient and modern Britons, nation knows no color line. We can bet it all. That's where it came from, Moors. So y'all acting like y'all don't know, but they know. They definitely know all of that comes from us. So
I just wanted to throw this. Amor just sent me something. I want to know if what you think about this now. So apparently, Dwayne Wade just came out apologizing for supporting Nick Cannon or whatever, and AI came out apologizing.
AI apologized to support
because he met with Farrakhan 2017 or whatever, and he doesn't support the hatred and all this stuff.
Oh man, they had AI crying. That's a really now, it's crazy. It's crazy.
But that's for them.
Now, that's nothing I wouldn't do if I was in the damn industry. I would not be like berating the guy, like, because that's like public humiliation. And they're doing theater to that show. It's crazy.
Okay, hold on. Iverson's post came after Dwayne Wade, a former player of the Miami Heat, apologized for expressing support for Nick Cannon.
Everybody. That's Joe, right, though?
Say that again?
Yeah, you know, bro. Yeah, you know. Yeah, you know, man.
Both of them was number 3. That's a fact. ING Wade. Yeah, that's true. That's true fact. So I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. We gotta, and it's crazy because Nick Cannon, you know, in his apology joint, he was saying like, yeah, I stand by, because he said he had got an offer, or he was on the old show America's Got Talent. But remember, D. Wade's wife, Gabrielle Union, was beefing with them for racial inequity. But he said in his shit that he stand with her. So I guess he was just trying to be like, oh, okay, well, you know, we support you too. But obviously it's something deeper than that, because he got a problem with the same people that discriminated on his wife. What would make him backtrack that type of support? Or is it not worthy? Like, you know what I mean? Like, Nick Cannon clearly said in his post, he stands with his sister, Gabrielle Union, who we know is beefing with America's Got Talent over some racial discrimination thing or some sort of discriminatory thing. Pardon me, I don't know if it was racial or if it was gender. She was accusing they was biased about, but something like that. You know what I mean? And all of this just seems crazy. You know, Nick Cannon might need to chill out for 6 months and get his shit together and bounce back to his attention. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he might need to do the 180 on him, but that's tough, you know. That's tough.
Morris posting in the chat, AI. Oh yeah, we're AI. You can't. It's like you gotta let go all like belief in anybody else. Like it's only you at this point. Only you. Only you can do it. And everybody else is just they're obviously they have other masters. You know, I am myself law master. So it's like I don't know. That's just a whole nother way now. Like once I see this, you know, once I hear news of people that you know like videos of like movies, and I hear that they're going the wrong way, yeah, well, it's kind of like you know, kind of expected. So, yep, they are too.
It's crazy, bro. AI, or
I'm saying connection. So it's like it's really kind of crazy. Like I used to see this dude come down South Street. That's like the street down here where we all like used to you know hang at. And after games, he used to drive down that street and like the Flyers car, like some Rolls Royce so big he couldn't barely sit down the street. And it's just like he did it for us because he wouldn't keep driving. He'd get out, he'd be amongst the people. Nobody got nothing. Like just, yeah, I was cool. Like I mean, so now it's just like, what did they do to you? Like, what did they really do to you where you would have to apologize now? I mean, or have to, you know, go against the can. Like, where was he even at? Where was AI even at?
Yo, they got tapes. They got tapes on them dudes. That's what. They got tapes. They got home video of certain people. All your favorite whoever's. As soon as they apologize, just know, oh yeah, they got a home video on him or her. As soon as they apologize, oh, they got a home video on them. They got something on them. Because the thing doesn't make any sense. None whatsoever. How come they don't call the Jews talking against the Jews? How come they don't call them anti-Semite? Because there's Jews who talk against Israel.
Right.
Like it's not a black thing or whatever, a race thing. Like there's Jews, there's rabbis who talk against what's going on in Israel right now. But they don't tell them that they're anti-Semite.
Yeah. So see, the thing is, they have the power to cancel this whole economic shit. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? He was working for them, and in a sense, like, I don't know, man. Like, that's crazy. Like, he was working for them, so like, it doesn't matter. Like, if I'm somewhere and I hear a European talk crazy about a Moor, I'm like, I don't rock with you. I don't care what our political differences.
Yeah, real.
I just don't. You know what I'm saying? Because you're trying to make all Moors look like something we're all not. And that's why I don't rock with you. I don't give a fuck what you say. You know what I mean? Part of my expression. But, so when we do that amongst other cultures, it could be a so-called Jew who disagrees with other Jews. But if you make it sound like, or it's not qualified enough, when you're not talking about these Jews that you work for, you know, then it could be something. You know what I mean? Because, again, you know, they're not all biased against us in that sense. I would say, from my understanding, my knowledge and wisdom and understanding, it's more so if we're going to break it down to Jew, Muslim, Christian, it would be these European Christians more so than anybody. And not that they're all bad people, but from all accounts of history, it was more against Christians. You know what I mean? Like, and when I read the Holy Quran, the Great Quran of Muhammad, it says in there, you know, don't shun the Jews and the Christians, because amongst these men are great, amongst these people are there's much wisdom to be learned. It encourages you to not shun Jews and Christians. That's what it encourages. You know what I mean? And to me, that's again back to the principle of loving instead of hating. And it's like, okay, you know, yeah, you can learn something from anybody, regardless of their background. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you know, you're not supposed to be out here generalizing, or so I would say Jew isn't even a position, and like you want to say that status. So, you know, like if that's not clarified and you just generalize the Jew and Christian and all of this, because remind you, even in the 1700s, the Moors that was in the church, remind you, they was not in the same church that the Europeans was going to. Straight up. These churches were safe houses. You know what I mean? So you can't compare a Moor who might have been a pastor in the church in the 1700s. That was your freedom leader. He was a part of the Underground Railroad and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So these were your safe haven at that time. You know what I mean? It was an excitement for us. And remind you, he wasn't allowed to quote unquote go to the same churches. So don't tell me the boys in this church was the same as the Europeans in that church, when there's so many denominations that people went to. Also a temple at that time for different purposes. Asylum, you know what I'm saying? All of these things. So, you know, I'm just saying, man, like it's so much to separate and put in order when you start talking about people as Jews, or start talking about people as Muslims, or start talking about people as Christians, and still not identifying nationality of who you're talking about. I mean, like I can identify, you know, the Europeans that Moors, indigenous Moors had problems with, you know, opposed to just saying all Europeans. Like, you know, more so in North America, it's been colonized by the English. You know, in South America, it's been more so colonized by the Spanish, the Spaniards, because we're speaking that language down there, and up here we're speaking English more so as the base language. So you can see like the colonial influence. But I'm not generalizing all Europeans when I say that. You know what I mean? Like, so when you specify who you're talking about and why you're talking about them from the historical aspect, there's not too many people who could have something too much, you know, contrary to say, if you can identify, you know, who exactly you're talking about. But when you just say Jew, now you're generalizing. That's not a specific people. No matter what you say or think you say. So, you know, I don't know, boy. I don't want to ramble on. We got 12 minutes left before the live broadcast ends, bro.
Is there, there are no more calls or anything? We good?
Yeah,
we're good.
There is another caller. We got caller 111. I think this is Brother Balance. Yeah. Peace to the nobles. How we going out?
Peace, more.
I like the topic. Touching on a whole lot of good topics tonight. I like to make a comment about Ali already told us in advance. There's gonna come a time when the wheel gonna stop, and when it starts back up, it's gonna fall right into our hands. So a lot of the Moors that is just waking up to this knowing don't realize that, gotta break that spell, being under that psychosis. It's a lot of them that are trapped in there, dealing with that Nick Cannon mindset, So maybe they gonna get it, you know what I'm saying? They gotta go within.
But sit back watching, seeing what it is, and hope everything works out for the better. We're all true more out here talking, to let it be known that, everything has been laid down. The foundation's already been laid. So it's no excuse for none of us out here not to be able to take what we get and do the, research on it so we could fact check it and bring it into total existence so we could make things better for all of us as a people and a nation.
Yes,
I want to touch on another thing. The other day I seen Kuzo made a video about this guy, which was real good, to let other boys know. Don't take on the title L if you're going to denounce who you are, Yusuf L. You know what I'm saying? Because, why would you even come under that title and then you're going to have the audacity to play the outer field when you know L's days are tied to who other boys who you are, whether you like it or not. You can't run from yourself. You got to stay in to who you are, because you're going to be that forever. But it seems like they're all trying to chase after one thing. It's that main thing is to get that bread.
They want that bag.
They all track, and they all losing track of all that stuff. At the end of the day, if you stand up under the Constitution, which is the first and foremost original, there's keys in there that will unlock doors that will shut all that down if you enforce it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got to say.
Islam.
I just had to, I was vexed. I had to let that out. What I see, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how everybody else might see it, but I had to let loose. I was watching, and I can see it make no sense. It's like I was wondering, where Taj is at in that little debacle. Cause he was at the right place for Taj to be there. It's like, why they choose to let him talk like that? That would get them on nerves. Yeah, man. And I don't understand. There's a platform for everybody. Everybody's out to put out who they are. I hope by people watching that show, they learn something from just watching it. That you got these people out here that are, talking all this jibby jabby, but ain't living through it and hiding up behind it, but ain't really being true about who they are. You know what I'm saying? Because they out for that one thing, that bag. That's the main thing they want. Once they get the bag, everything else is lost.
Yeah.
And that's how the children, they did it. They did the spell. They did a miraculous spell on them on NBC. Got them running and dying for them food stamps, them coupons that they invented. They go all out. They'll die for it. Even if it's fake, they don't care. Dying for bankruptcy. It starts in the cranium, in the deep cranium. If you don't change that, everything else ain't going to change.
Let's speak more. Look, we got the brother had his drops earlier.
I yield the floor.
Islam, man.
Keep up the good work, don't you? Keep up the good work.
The brother that dropped out earlier, 682 area, is trying to get back in. We got like 5 minutes left. You wanna bring the brother back in for a couple of minutes? And
Yeah, we can take quick. We got at least a minute. Yeah, he got a minute. Yeah, he's got a minute.
Okay, thanks. so call us 682-360. Back with us, man.
Peace. I just wanted to speak real quick on what you were saying about, kind of off topic. Yeah, I hate to get off topic, but what you were saying about the air, the element, right?
You got 2 minutes, just so you know, you got 2 minutes.
Yeah, you don't got a lot of time, bro.
All I was gonna say is, air is a good important thing, man, because I was thinking about the hydrogen peroxide and how it heals a lot of things, and what it does is it brings air to it. You know what I'm saying? I just want to speak that piece. That was it, brother. I didn't want to take it too far off topic, but I was thinking about the way I said it.
No doubt. I think we appreciate that. We'll have the next book real soon. With that being said, bro, we coming down to the last minutes of the broadcast. More, I still got more in the lineup. Can I spin that on the way out, or y'all want to say anything in closing on the way out?
Well, I'll let that. Yeah, I'll let that talk. I'll let that talk for me.
That would be bro.
I'll let that talk for me.
Brother on the air feeds out fire. So, let it roll.
It's love.
Peace, y'all. Check out willofalife.com. Everyday publications. Y'all do the thing. Media, etc., etc. Right.
So they study the actual cities and they harvest these people like fortunately the last 5 years, black people know to a certain status level, and that's what I think we're talking about. When the arrows was going across Africa, and right after Muhammad, they went across Africa, but they did probably cut your head off and you died.
Some I saw the prophet sick like, whoa. No one ever thought I feel sick like, bro. Some is more certain what I'm learning like, no. Also have my own flag not burning like, no. Several serving no other nations like, oh. What's wrong with your people's minds like, oh. Wanna stay fixing for hours like, no. Never felt this repping black power like, no. Never felt this repping chematology. Most of the black leaders teach technology. Egypt is North Africa. Forward Morocco, in the slaughter sweat, Mecca is Chicago, Mississippi Nile River, Grand Canyon Zero, I'm Moroccan natives, they call them other stations. Disrespect Malik L, call them Clinton and Malcolm, sleep truth, watch black have a tantrum. Man stuff like phantoms, age of corona, catch the Heineken virus, not improper persona, fall victim to the corona, hiding with melanoma, like war when I read the Treaty of Verona, whoa, when I read the protocol for Zion, goosebumps drinking roots of the dandelion, berries of the elders, grass of the lemon, black wool, how my people rise with these 6 felonies.
The law start telling like me telling twin towers they flow like 9/11. Top 7 like melting down the church bells, the silhouette and 2 6 like Catholic Creek playing belief. My wolf jack tear them apart, breaking the leashes at night. Bad mission, past living, cash missing. I done seen it all before, like past life. Alhamdulillah. More cash life, fans getting the box, flipping on flashlights, holla, we ain't pay the lights, voila, scimitar, making time down, blue straba, being in, show the host on the repeat, Corona is over, now George on the repeat, like how would we survive, everybody crash, these does take the bill, it's gonna be another capture, go to crisischat.com, right now, you'll see it, we in the matrix, right now, you're still working in and out paychecks, right now, niggas ain't get penny yet, down. I mean, close down, falls on the savages. They only access to react to what's happening. What's happening? City more than this man's right subjugate the rules human trafficking.
And Jesus, that'd be crazy. All that is black culture. But I went down to the workshop, I was down and everybody left a Bible. And I guess the spirit was like, man, there's stuff that they need to go in. And when I opened the Bible, All this stuff is nothing but come out of these white spaces or whatever. We did live in other lands and we were a universal people. And these stories of our people, that's all over the earth.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio.